radio show that's never heard of any of these things before.
I've never had anything from Cherry Republic.
Oh, they do all like the candies and all the cherry stuff from Traverse City.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know there's
Yeah.
a few others. Yeah. Red Vines. Ooh, yes. Stroh's Beer. That's from Ryan and West Bloomfield. My first year in college, Stroh's was a national beer. It wasn't just here. We used to have $2 pitchers on Wednesday nights at the AU Tavern. Those were the days where you could actually have beer on campus that they would sell it. They don't do that anymore.
No, you can't.
In the student unions. And Saunders Hot Fudge.
Yes.
248-539-9797. Is there a Michigan staple that you haven't tried? 97 won the ticket. Got some ticket text coming up, but we're looking for the Michigan staple that you might not have tried or people should have tried by now. Let's go to Mike in Walled Lake. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, good fellas and Miss. How about Town Club?
Oh, Town Club soda.
Yeah. And also, I didn't tell you your call screener. What about Benito's? Is it Benito's Michigan-based? Maybe you can help.
I don't know, but the big.
Didn't they have the 30?
They do the big pizza. Yeah.
Yes. You know what? I have my big. You know what my big problem with Benito's is that they.
How do you have a big problem with Benito's?
Here's my only problem, and it's good, but they have this great deal for like lunch. Like there's a 2-3 hour time for lunch and at dinner at the end where they serve slices for $1. It's great, but the only slices are the
small ones.
The Detroit style. Like I can't get because they have great like New York style pizza. I can't get they don't sell slices of that, which pisses me off. There we go.
Now, could you guys do research and see if Benito's is Michigan based? I thought Benito's. I've only seen Benito's in Michigan.
All right, we'll get our staff, Jean-Francois Google, to check it out. Check it, okay?
Get the details on.
Yes. It's not food, but euchre. Mm-hmm. It's a game that's only in Michigan. I have relatives in New York. I have no idea what I'm talking about when I bring up that game. You are correct, sir, because I had no idea what euchre was when I moved here, and I've never played it.
We were over at a friend's house this last week, like playing games or whatever, and they said, "Do you guys want to play euchre?" And I had to break it to them. I don't know how to play euchre.
I'm surprised you don't.
I've never played. I don't know how to play.
I'm stunned. I'm not stunned.
I've grown up here.
You grew
lived
up
here my
here.
whole life. I had family members that played it.
You went to college here.
I know.
And I feel like guys know how to play it.
Right.
Like I never learned how to play in college. I learned after, so very recently, but I feel like I'm surprised that you have never played.
Yeah, that is surprising.
Okay, so you went to CMU. I know you did a lot of broadcasting stuff where you were consumed with football on Saturdays.
Yeah.
And probably some other sports,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah,
You
I
just
did
maybe
all of
weren't
it,
in
yeah.
environments. I am surprised you don't know how to play, but maybe you didn't maybe have the typical college experience.
No, I wouldn't say it was the stereotypical college experience. But it's one of those things like
you're in your dorm and saying, hey, quiet down, it's 10 o'clock.
Stop
like
it.
the fireworks.
Stop
and
it.
all that.
Stop it. Stop it. He's trying to get me in trouble again.
No, you did.
I would say like it's one of those things where like Tony, you with Star Wars. You haven't seen the Star once you've gone this far.
I know.
Like you just don't do it.
I get it. I finally broke the code. I'm on a plane and watched Invincible. I imagine your college career was a little similar to mine, where there are a lot of things you wanted to do and you couldn't.
Schedules were tighter.
Yeah.
I mean, we're traveling with teams. It was almost like I didn't have the same rigorous schedule as a college athlete, but when you cover all of the teams and travel with all of the teams, you kind of don't get the off season until it's summer, then you go home.
See, I did the basketball. Like, that was the only major sport we had at American, and we didn't travel with the team. We had to drive. So you drive from D.C. to like Lehigh or Lafayette or Hofstra, and
well, let me tell you.
And I missed concerts because of games and things like that.
It's not exactly a luxurious travel scene. The MAC. When you're going from Mount Pleasant, Michigan to Athens, Ohio, or Muncie, Indiana, it's a whole lot of cornfields.
Yes. Lafayette, the Easton, Pennsylvania, the home of Larry Holmes. Let's see. It's better made in Uncle Ray's potato chips. Oh, they're very good.
Ooh, I don't know Uncle Ray's.
Very good. Guys, the ribeye at Zender's is so much better than the chicken. That's from Mike in Grosse Pointe. A Coney would wreck Heather.
Yeah, for sure it would. Not doing it.
When I was a kid, Downey's potato chips were only Michigan, and they were awesome. I think they are everywhere now.
Downey's are my favorite, and I do think that they're everywhere. They're so good.
Michigan staple, venison. And Zonders sucks. So overrated. That's from Chris in Oxford. Venison's not a Michigan. I mean, they have venison everywhere.
Anybody who hunts.
There's deer all over.
Town Club cane soda. Only made in Michigan. I've never seen it out of state. I loved it when I was a kid. I've seen it around a little bit. A true Youper eats his pasty with ketchup.
Thank you.
Open pit. And Heather is right about the ketchup.
Open pit's the barbecue sauce.
Yes.
My dad would put that on burgers growing up all the time. That was like his
barbecue
substitute.
sauce on burgers is good. If you need to get the Buddies, you need to go to the original. And the atmosphere of the original Buddies is not for everyone. Lafayette, it's the food and the atmosphere, just like going to the original Cloverleaf for pizza is better than going to one of the chains. That's from Charlie, 149.
By the way, I have an update from Google.
Yes.
Crack research staff.
Benito's?
Benito's. Founded in Belleville, Michigan.
Okay.
There you have it.
Oh, I didn't know that was the first one.
Yeah.
1979.
Wow.
Is Dolly's from Michigan too originally?
I don't know.
God, we have so many pizza joints, chains. I mean, it's incredible.
Hungry Howie's.
Beautiful. Yeah, are they also? I think
yes.
Troy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
They're all founded here.
Back to the barbecue sauce for a second.
Yeah,
That's make me a bad person that I'm an Uncle Ray's guy when it comes to major brands.
You mean Sweet Baby Ray's?
Or Sweet Baby Ray's, I mean.
It's like basic, but it's good, right? I mean, it's easy. Because sometimes you get a barbecue sauce, you try something new, and you're like, this one doesn't it. You know what you're getting with Sweet Baby Ray's.
Right.
Yeah. But I think for the most part, barbecue sauce is barbecue sauce. You know what I mean? It's like,
Oh, no, there's toast.
No,
Don't
no,
you?
no, no,
Okay.
no. The when I worked at Orchard Lake Country Club, the homemade stuff was out of this world. It was just fantastic.
Because you got all kinds of like Texas barbecue, Carolina
Right,
barbecue,
right, okay.
sweeter barbecues, the honey barbecue. Oh, no, there is a
I know.
spectrum.
I'm
Oh,
talking
you're
about
saying
brands.
like generic barbecue
brands,
sauce.
yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but obviously there's different spices of barbecue sauce that makes it. What's his name had a company? I don't know if he still does because I remember we got samples. Bubba Baker.
That's right. It
He
was
had-
good.
It was really good.
Have you seen these ticket texts? We're getting a bunch of them. It's the debate over Saunders and Sanders.
It will never end.
I was always taught it was Saunders when I moved here.
I've always said Saunders.
Me too. My dad always called it Saunders. That's how I grew up. But when I went to like their big headquarters or factory, I did ask, and they say it's Sanders. But like 50% of people call it Saunders. The other half call it Sanders. And I think it will always be debated.
I'm smelling a Twitter poll.
Well, why not throw it up? What else? See what people think.
248-539-9797. Let's go to Harry in Sterling Heights. What's up, Harry?
Well, this is an old one. A&W root beer that you drove in with your dad, and they had the trays on your window, and you had a foot-long hot dog.
Yeah,
combo.
But they had that all over the country, didn't they?
Well, A&W is kind of a local thing.
Is it?
No.
They had the frosted mug. They always give you a frosted mug
Yeah.
with A&W root beer.
But is that a Michigan? I didn't know that's a Michigan.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I will say this,
No,
though.
it's not.
No. When I first moved here, one Saturday, I took my car. I was just driving around aimlessly because I had no idea where I was going. And I was driving through on 12 Mile in Berkeley, and there's an A&W. And, you pull in, and the girl was on, like, roller skates or whatever to come. And you know what? I said to myself, this reminds me of it seems like a John Mellencamp video. This is America. It just, to me, came out of America, middle America, A&W root beer, summer. They come to your car. I thought it was cool as hell. Something I never saw being in the metropolises where I used to live and work.
Yeah.
It was cool. I love that A&W. It's a nice spot.
It's from California, A&W, founded
Yeah,
in California,
yeah,
not a Michigan
no,
place. But yes, okay. Coming up next, this is what happens. This is the week of the 4th of July.
Mm-hmm.
This is the peak QB rankings season, and it's silly, but it gives you an idea of where people rank quarterbacks. CBS Sports put out their list. We want to know, Jared Goff, is it the Goldilocks theory? Too high, too low, or just right? Did they get it right with Jared Goff? We'll mix that in next hour. It's 97.1. Goldilocks. Too high, too low, just right. What do you make of Jared Goff? CBS Sports. There you go. CBS Sports put out their list, quarterback tiers, their rankings, and Stoney, let's just take people through this. Their tier 1 is the obvious. They call it the big 3. It's Mahomes, Burrow, and Josh Allen.
I would go big 2. I would not have Josh Allen on that list.
You could bump him down to tier 2, which is could join them next year. This is a group of quarterbacks who could someday be one of the 2 or 3 best in the sport. Includes Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, Trevor Lawrence, Jalen Hurts. Seem solid to you? Okay.
Right. And the only reason I bumped Allen down a little bit because he's coming off an off year. Now, granted, he was injured a little bit, played hurt. I give him credit for that, but was not as great as he had been in the past. So I'm going to drop him a tier.
So that's about 7 QBs, give or take, at the start of this list. Mm-hmm. Tier 3 is where we approach Goff consideration. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Tier 3 is intrigue with question marks. These guys fit that description. Aaron Rodgers, Matthew Stafford, Tua Tagovailoa, Justin Fields, Daniel Jones, Deshaun Watson, and Russell Wilson. Of that group, I feel like Daniel Jones is maybe being propped up too much.
Look,
there's intrigue because he can run around a little bit, but he was not a good quarterback.
He had some really good games, though. Look,
what did he throw, like 14 touchdowns last year?
Yeah, but his wide receivers weren't really that great to begin with. But still, all right, that said, it's the fact that he's getting $40 million basically.
Yeah, he wanted 47. He's getting 40.
Yeah,
he threw 15 touchdown passes last season.
Okay, the problem with this list is what they like. If it was just by tiers with no caveats at the top, I'd feel a little differently. Because, yes, every one of these guys does have a question mark. How's Aaron Rodgers going to fit with the new team? Has age slowed him down? How's Matthew Stafford going to be coming off an injury? Is Cooper Kupp going to be 100%? You know, their offensive line is not very good, as we know. Mm-hmm. Tua, how is the concussion stuff going to bother him? Justin Fields, is he going to make that next step, even though and his wide receivers are better than they were last year, but still not great, although DJ Moore does have terrific potential. Deshaun Watson, he looked good towards the end of the season, but is it going to be the Deshaun Watson of, his best days in Houston or the Deshaun Watson we saw early last year after the suspension? Russell Wilson, perfect example. I mean, which Russell Wilson are we getting? To me, Russell Wilson, you'll probably disagree with me, Jim. I'd put Jared Goff ahead of Russell Wilson right now.
With as bad as Russ was last year, and by the way, it's a trend. He was also not great his last year in Seattle.
Exactly.
I get that argument. I do. And we've already named 14 quarterbacks without mentioning Jared Goff. So there's going to be this perceived slight from people. He does fit the description, though, of tier 4, which is you can win with them. And let me read you the descriptor. The best way to describe these guys, they can get you to the playoffs. Check. Goff's done it, and I think he's going to do it this year with the Lions. But you need everything to break in their favor if you're going to go on a run in the postseason or win a Super Bowl. You're not going to do it without a stout defense and a run game combination or the stars simply aligning. The quarterbacks in tier 4. First name, Jared Goff. Maybe he's the best of this group. Dak Prescott. I'd put Dak a little bit ahead of Jared Goff, followed by Geno Smith, Kirk Cousins, Ryan Tannehill, Derek Carr, and Jimmy Garoppolo.
And now on that list, if you're talking the ultimate prize, there's only 2 of them who've actually played in that game, correct?
Garoppolo and Goff?
Yes.
Yeah. And I've compared the 2. And Goff's better than Jimmy Garoppolo, but I feel like what they offer a team stylistically, skill set, they're similar. They're not mobile. They don't throw a pretty deep ball consistently. They're going to be guys who can get you in and out of checks, play action pass, get the ball out of their hands, and with a good offensive line, limiting turnovers. And that's what Jared Goff did a great job of a year ago. Mm-hmm. I would put Dak ahead of Jared Goff because I know Dak was bad last year. The year before that, he had a quarterback rating of 104, 37 touchdowns, 10 picks, completed nearly 70% of his passes. His ceiling is higher than Jared Goff's. He's a little more mobile, too, than Jared Goff. I would probably elevate Dak to the next level. And the debate is, would you do the same with Jared Goff? Is he a tier 3, 3.5 in this made-up category, or is he a tier 4 quarterback?
I think he's tier 3. I think he's done enough last year to be in tier 3, and he's done enough in certain seasons with the Rams to be a tier 3. And then I have questions about some of these other guys, because you mentioned, guys that can't win unless they have this or that, running game, whether it's a running game, an offensive line, or stout defense. Okay, I can't believe I'm saying this, because I do think he's great, but he had all this. Is Jalen Hurts. How good would Jalen Hurts be if he didn't have that Eagles offensive line and the defense that they had last year? I don't know. Lamar Jackson.
I think that's maybe the least. It's the most disingenuous argument is how much we rate supporting cast. We have to,
right?
But how quickly the slope slides on supporting cast. Everybody needs help, with the exception of, well, even Mahomes. When he got to the Super Bowl, the guy was running for his life. I think the better way of doing it is, given a league average offensive line, given a league average defense, rank the quarterbacks accordingly.
Yeah, that would be definitely the way to go.
The thing with Mahomes, though, is that, like, last year he lost Tyreek Hill.
Didn't really matter.
Right. And that's just, he should be by himself almost at this point.
Well,
I think so, too.
They even say that in this, he said, we really call it the king. He's the elite of the elite, and then you go from there down.
I can see the Tua thing in flashes, and I can see the Justin Fields thing in flashes. I just haven't seen enough of it. To me, Jared Goff should be on, with career accomplishment, equal footing with those guys. It's interesting what you said about Dak. Dak's career statistics across the board are just a little bit better than Goff's. Mm-hmm. So then, okay, do you count playoff success? He went to a Super Bowl. It's like they probably belong in the same category when push comes to shove.
Yeah, I think if you took the tiers out where these descriptions are and you just said rank them with all the warts and the questions of the guys in tier 3, like Goff would probably slide up a couple spots. Just to be fair, he would.
And 2 years ago, and even maybe 1 year ago, I probably would have put Dak ahead of Goff. I think now the one thing with Goff over Dak is I feel like Dak's facing some mental issues right now a little bit, confidence-wise,
right?
With approach to the position versus Goff overcame that last year.
Well,
he's back in a good place, the happy place.
Yeah. But hold on. But Dak last year had the thumb injury. Gallup's coming off an ACL. He had one real receiver in CeeDee Lamb. Zeke Elliott's a bag of dust. The offensive line had started to crater. I'm not trying to make excuses, but we are trying to judge them level.
Those things happened to Goff, too. He had the same problem.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so I think they're very similar, actually. Daniel Jones, I don't know what it is. I honestly, guys, I don't know what I'm missing here. Does he have pictures on everybody?
I mean, it's amazing to me. Look, his wide receiver's not very good, but
I don't care. Jared Goff's a better quarterback than Daniel Jones.
I agree.
I'm sorry.
I agree.
It just doesn't make any sense to me that Jared Goff had almost 1,200 yards more passing last year, 29-7 TD, INTs.
You know what it is. People are infatuated with quarterbacks who can use their legs. That's
Vanilla
what
Vic.
it is.
Vanilla Vic.
Yeah, that's what it is. People love a quarterback
I didn't coin
who
the
can
term.
run.
That's not my term, but that's what people have said about him.
Did JMO like this list?
Oh, boy.
I can't let it go, Jim.
I'll send my notifications to you. You can handle it.
Oh, I haven't been entertained reading those.
248-539-9797. Where do you think Jared Goff is? Too high, too low, just right? A tier 4 quarterback. This would put him 15th in the sport if you counted everybody up ahead of him on CBS.
So 15 out of 32 as far as the starting quarterbacks.
Slightly above average.
Yeah.
But not a top 10 QB.
Well, I don't think he's a top 10 QB.
That's what I'm saying. So,
right.
But if you told me Jared Goff is slightly above average, not a top 10 QB, you can win with him, but he's not elite or special. They did a good job then. That kind of feels
that's accurate.
That feels accurate.
That's accurate, and
now
that's not a slight.
No.
And you can, when you say win with them, I'm not talking about win a playoff game. You can win a Super Bowl with him. I mean, they lost the Super Bowl with him, but they got there. Okay. You tell me that if the Lions, here we go again, for some strange, crazy reason would get to the Super Bowl, that Jared Goff will be the reason you wouldn't win that game, maybe. I don't know. I think you can win with him.
But if you look at this, this is the right now rankings.
Yes.
Okay, so that's why Stafford and Rodgers are down in tier 3.
Right.
We all know Matthew Stafford is a better quarterback than Jared Goff.
Correct.
Right?
If he's healthy.
It'll take a lot. Jared Goff has a lot to do to probably ever get past Matthew Stafford when push will come to shove, when the dust settles.
Well, some of the challenge, I think Stafford's more physically gifted. That doesn't mean Jared Goff can't play the position at a higher level on a given day, and you would argue last year did. But the physical gifts that some of the guys near the top of this list have, Goff doesn't, which means
Correct.
there's a lower ceiling. That doesn't mean he can't work his ass off, be a leader, help this team, be productive. And he did all that last year. And he should do that this year.
He absolutely should, as long as he has all his weapons, but he won't for the first 6 games.
There we go again with the JMO stuff.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying, I'm trying to give Goff an excuse, maybe. Because that
Hey, just the bottom line is Goff going to have to just be a little smarter, game manage. You know, there might not be as quite many fireworks going off in the offense.
For people who missed it, if you're following me, you didn't. We talked about it at 7:30 this morning.
I did deserve that, Greg.
Thanks, Danny.
I didn't like that after I said it.
We'll get some of your thoughts in your ticket text 248-539-9797. Very explosive playmaker, Jamison Williams. AJ Hinch at 9:30. AJ Hinch at 9:35. You guys are the best.
Good on the
97-1. I get it. We'll check in with AJ Hinch at 9:35 this morning. Tigers lost last night, gave up 12 runs to the Oakland A's, the most that Oakland has scored all season. A day removed from their first shutout of the season, where they held the Tigers to 0 runs.
Do you realize Oakland is 31-5 against the Tigers their last 36 games, 19-2 at Comerica Park.
Doesn't seem like real life, but wow. So we'll check in with AJ coming up bottom of the hour.
We have some tickets.
Oh, do we on the
Yes.
QB tiers? Then I
Yes.
do want to bring up Zadina just briefly because there's a story out about him. Go ahead.
Dak over Goff. LMAO. Now, I'm not sure if he thinks that.
He's making fun of the fact that someone would think
Right.
that.
They're filleting Daniel Jones because he won a playoff game.
There's a whole lot of propping up and dragging down of guys who don't win or do win.
Mm-hmm.
And I get why it's a competitive sport. You want your quarterback to win as opposed to losing.
Mm-hmm.
But how you win. Like Daniel Jones is throwing 3-yard passes and they're winning ugly. He's not a better quarterback than Justin Herbert, who doesn't have a playoff win.
Correct.
Like there's a lot of this like overkill stuff
I know.
And his playoff win was against a horrible defense.
against the Vikings, who were atrocious.
Yes.
What would have been nice to see the Lions go to Minnesota.
I think they would have won that game.
Yeah.
And Goff would have this playoff win in a Lions uniform. And
I
maybe
think
he'd be
a
getting
road
even more
playoff
love.
win. That's never happened
man.
in my life.
If only the Lions would have played at Minnesota last year.
Yeah.
Oh wait,
Why does Greg
Don't-
have to
that
do
was
that?
that was the fake 1-6 part.
Yeah, yes, that's right. That was when Mal.
It's all about 8-2.
That's when Mal Feasance
14-3
coached the
this
team.
year.
Dan
Yeah.
Campbell took over for Mal Feasance. Dak has won nothing cookies. What do you mean he's better than Goff? Plus, he's had much better weapons. Correct me if I'm wrong, please, but when you say what weapons does Goff really have? St. Brown's playing great, but I don't think we've surrounded him with the receivers for him to prove if he's an above-average quarterback. That's accurate. And then they traded, T.J. Hawkinson, who was probably his best receiving tight end. I mean,
you
they do.
Look at Dak and Goff. If you're out there, you can have your opinion on who's better. I personally would rather have Goff when a push came to shove
Right.
to win one game. They both need offensive lines. They both need strong running games. They need solid receivers. They need people around them. They're very similar. Look at their
I'm
career
not.
statistics.
I
They're
didn't
very
say
similar.
I didn't say the gap was cavernous. I prefer Dak. His best has been better than Goff's best.
Statistically.
And there's a little more movability that he can, extend plays with his feet.
Correct.
Oh, that Rams offense in 2019 when they went to the Super Bowl was damn good.
And despite him having Todd Gurley Offensive Player of the Year, he never put up a passer rating as well as Dak did 2 years ago. Didn't have a touchdown interception ratio as good as Dak did 2 years ago.
But I don't know if Dak-
But in that
hair.
NFC Championship game that I've referred to already, Gurley got hurt in that game, and Goff really made some big plays in that game.
and
Some of
this
the
is just
officials.
funny. I can't prove this, but personal opinion.
Before it got to that.
That great Chiefs-Rams regular season game.
the Monday night game. Yep.
54-51 game.
Yeah.
I personally don't believe Dak could have outperformed Mahomes in that setting
We're
with
gonna
that
see-
same team. I just don't. It's my opinion.
We're
I
going to
can't
see
prove it.
those highlights a lot leading up to the game to kick off the season because it's
Oh,
Goff
yes.
against the Chiefs, prime time spot. We're going to see those highlights a bunch in the next couple months.
You know what else we're going to see? We're going to see the highlights of the last time the Lions played the Chiefs, the greatest loss in Lions history.
Didn't Kerryon Johnson have a fumble that
Yes,
got
at
returned?
the 1 yard
Yeah,
line.
all the way the other
Not-
way.
yes,
14-point swing.
Yes.
Stafford had a red zone fumble.
He
too.
did.
Yes, he did. Unbelievable. And Mahomes had that big run.
Gov just likes to twist the knife. He's just over there just twisting the knife.
Lord.
Philip Zadina, real quick before we get to Heather and AJ Hinch. Philip Zadina went through waivers, and the thought was he would report to Grand Rapids. Stoney, there's a report now that he might want his entire contract voided. He would, pass on $4 million to become an unrestricted free agent. Am I missing something here with Philip Zadina? Yzerman wanted to trade him. First of all, gave him a 3-year deal.
Correct.
Then wanted to trade him somewhere. Then when no one would trade for him, said, I'll just release you and let the entire league claim you.
Well, no,
And no one
He was
did.
doing him a favor. It wasn't a spiteful, "Oh, we'll just let you go.
No. But he was like, hey,
Yes.
if we're not it for you, we're going to try to do right by our player 2 and 3 times over. We're going to pay you. We're going to try to trade you at your request.
Right.
We're going to put you on waivers to help your career. And the league collectively said,
No, thanks.
you suck.
Yeah.
And now he says, release me from my contract potentially.
Yes.
Make me a free agent. Do you want to go to the KHL that bad? Like, tell me what I'm missing here.
Maybe he just wants an opportunity with another organization. He thinks maybe he can develop better. Or, yes, maybe go play overseas in the KHL or someplace. I don't know.
Do you see? I'm not ruling it out, but do you see a world where an NHL team signs him after they already had the chance to claim him yesterday? I suppose they'll save a little bit of money signing him to a cheap 1-year deal.
Possibly. But if I'm Steve Yzerman, I say, thank you, Philip. Thank you. You just saved me $3.5 million, right? Or whatever.
Yeah. If I'm Yzerman, I think it's what you did the math earlier. It's like 1.8 a season for the next 2 seasons. So it's like.
Yes, 1.825 for the next 2 seasons and be a restricted free agent in 25-26.
Not that the Wings need the cap space, but it is going to be to their benefit.
Yes.
It's
almost $4 million.
He gets out from under the deal.
Yeah, you can go use that for somebody better.
Like the Brinket.
Yeah, hopefully. But we don't know what the hell is going on with there. I think a lot of that is Ottawa saying, you know what, we're just going to keep you.
Well, the latest that we played yesterday is what? Detroit
and the Islanders.
And the Islanders. It's Steve Yzerman, Lou Lamoriello, steel cage match. 2 men enter, 1 man exits.
One's younger and speedier.
Yeah,
one's
Lou's 80.
older and fat.
Here's the deal with Yzerman. Yes, he is in better shape for this cage match. So is his organization.
Yeah.
They have the cap space. They have the trade chips. DeBrincat's from here, so if there's any slight edge, tie goes to the runner. It's in the Red Wings.
The Islanders have better players on their roster if they want to get rid of them. But I don't know if they do. That's
right.
the thing.
So, to me, the longer this has gone on, the Red Wings are the team most consistently mentioned as a landing spot. I think he'll be there, but also, Stoney, the longer this goes, the more I think if Yzerman wanted to close this deal, he would have.
Maybe they just don't want him. It's possible.
It is possible. He says, hey, guy's 5'8". He's not going to be a power forward. Doesn't fit the identity of our hockey team. We'll take him if he's free or close to it. And in the meantime, Ottawa's trying to find other suitors. Mm-hmm. The Islanders, they called us.
By the way, speaking of Suter, are you surprised Pius Suter hasn't signed with anybody?
Yeah.
He scored 13, 14 goals the last 2 years.
He had a stretch last year.
He's a decent player. He was decent for the. I remember when the Red Wings signed him. I said, "Wow, how did Chicago?"
I think he played in the top 6 in Chicago.
Right.
Now they had some injuries, Taves, but I think he's an NHLer.
Yeah,
sure. Right. So anyway, 248-539-9797. We are on DeBrincat watch. Zadina potentially outside the organization later on. You said noon today. We'll find out.
Supposedly. Yes.
TSN's got an article posted in the last hour. I don't know if this was reported for because I was just back from vacation, but it seems like a fresh article that the Senators want to move him so that they can go sign Tarasenko.
Yes, that's some of the talk.
It's like, and they're saying speculation the money's holding it, could be potentially holding up what DeBrincat wants, that he wants 8.775. Is that more than Larkin?
It's right around Larkin.
Right around Larkin.
It's like within striking distance of Larkin. I think Larkin's, is he 8.7, 8.8, something like
this
that?
This better not come down to a Verlander Scherzer thing.
Oh, man.
Well, we're not going to pay him more than.
But seriously, you can't. I don't. Alex DeBrincat is not the overall player that Larkin is he?
No, he's not.
No.
So why are you paying him more?
But
because the market
goes up and the cap's going up and you have the cap space and he would be a great running mate for Dylan Larkin. They would be a good combination on the top line. They would help each other out.
Right.
And you're supposed to be building around Dylan Larkin. That's what Yzerman said at his press conference going into the draft.
Yes.
We'll see if they do it. Yes. Here's Heather with the news.
All right. I've got a Florida teen story, a Florida kid story, instead of a Florida man story.
Ooh.
There is a Florida teen that is being charged with wildlife abuse after he basically told an alligator to hold his beer. So there is a video that is making the rounds on social media, and it's of this teen chugging a beer that was being held in the mouth of a baby gator. There's about 3 teens. They're in a parking lot somewhere, and they recorded themselves, of course. And now there's an official at the Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission that saw the video and launched this animal cruelty investigation. And the president of that commission was obviously not happy by what he saw, and he wants the teen to find better things to do than torment an alligator. Not happy about it. I get it. I mean, when you watch the video, it's stupid. It's
Yes.
really stupid what he's doing. I mean, there's just no point to it. If you're going to chug a beer, chug a beer. I mean, don't need to chug it out of an alligator, but it's the dropping of it on the
Did you say this was
pavement.
down in Florida?
Yeah, I did.
Of course it is.
Yeah. Brittany Mahomes, she's facing some controversy, some criticism for something that she did while she was on vacation. She shared some photos on her social media of herself swimming with a dolphin while she was in Hawaii. And some of her fans, as well as PETA, were really quick to attack. Fans claim that it is cruelty to the dolphin, what she's doing. PETA basically said the same thing. They wrote this lengthy message to her on social media, and they said that obviously we know you have a love for animals, but what you're doing is not great for the dolphin or for yourself. A lot of people do it, though. Go
Yes,
after the company that's putting it on.
I've done it.
Yeah, you said that.
I would like
Yes.
to do it.
They're fun.
We have this purity standard. Like, you can't swim with dolphins?
No, you can. There's idiot groups out there that just want to get attention.
Like, you don't want to harm the dolphins.
No.
Like some people feel like the Shamu
Yeah,
deal.
I'm
like,
not a fan of
No, but like if you're out in the ocean with the dolphins and no one's hurting the dolphins and
Right.
it's all fun and photos.
Is that how it works, though? They're just like wild dolphins. Aren't these dolphins that
No,
are held
they're,
in a...
they're kind of in a pool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's not like
I think
open ocean, but
that's
it's
the problem.
Yeah.
that they're
So should-
captive.
But to me, don't go after her. Go after the company that's she paid to do it.
Right.
Well, the
I mean,
argument would be she's supporting that business.
Sure, I get
but-
it. I
but-
understand, but still, if you really want to go after somebody, go after somebody else, I
Sure.
guess. Two Wimbledon protesters brought a match to a screeching halt after they rushed the court and then threw confetti all over the place. Did you guys see this happen?
No.
Yes.
There was a man and a woman. They were wearing a Just Stop Oil shirt, and they basically ran out of the crowd. They disrupted play, and they had this box of like orange confetti, and I guess some puzzle pieces were thrown in there too. The woman was pretty quickly escorted away, but the man sat down, cross-legged on the court, and then he waited till security pulled him away.
See, they should, if they're going to protest with the oil deal, they should do it at a live golf event because that's Saudi backed and that's oil.
Looked like a lot of confetti.
Yeah,
Looking at the pictures.
Yes, Tony, but who's going to see it on Live?
that's a great
The
point.
CW.
If you're getting a little tip fatigue, I think we all are. I mean, everywhere you go now, you are asked to give a tip if you want. I mean, everywhere you go, they just flip that little tablet around and they tell you, you can pick what percentage you'd like to leave. Sometimes it's hard to find how you leave no tip if you don't want to
And it's
tip.
awkward when you're trying to hit no tip, but it doesn't register, and you have to
Yes.
do it 3
And they're
times. And you
watching
look,
you?
yeah.
Yes. But there are some etiquette experts that are saying this is called tipflation. And they are going through some things and saying there are certain things where you definitely don't have to tip and you should not feel pressured to tip. So there's 5 scenarios. They say you never have to tip. You don't have to tip a professional. They're saying these are people who earn a salary to perform their job. This is doctors, lawyers, teachers, plumbers, cable technicians. They earn a salary. You don't need to tip them for their service. They also say anybody who does like counter service, like anybody working at a store, not waiters and waitresses. This is something different, but somebody who's working behind a counter. They should be earning a salary. They say you don't need to tip them. If you go to an open bar event, I instantly think of a wedding. You don't need to tip those bartenders. They're saying whoever purchased
They're
their
getting
service,
They're
paid.
covering it.
they're getting paid, and most likely they should be getting tipped by that person.
Correct.
Yes. Double tipping, no need for that. They give an example of if you go to like a nail tech and you tip your nail tech in person and then you go to pay at the counter for the service, you don't want to double tip
No.
and tip at the counter as well. I think we all know that, but just be aware. And then you don't have to tip for poor service
No, why would you?
because people are feeling pressured because of how tipping has changed. So they're
Well, I
just
think
saying,
there is an obligation, like at a restaurant. You can't leave a $0 tip even if the service sucks, right?
I never would,
No,
I never
have.
I wouldn't either. But
but I'm sure there are people who do.
if you, especially if you
I mean,
have,
if you never get served, like you don't
I've,
get
I've had
a
that you just
hello,
leave. I mean, if you did, yeah.
you go.
Have you ever had that happen? You sit down at a restaurant, you wait. It's been 15, 20, 30. They forget about me.
Yeah.
You just leave.
yeah, that's happened.
Yeah. I guess you don't have to tip then.
No.
It's Heather with the news. Coming up next, AJ Hinch. Where are we at with this Tigers baseball team? It's next, 97.1.
Everybody red, green, and the light. Now business with no trouble, just a dance and a sing. Move your body, jump in and the hero, so we swing. Songs about the passion, songs about bell ring. Boom, this okay, we rock it till the morning. What we do? Party, follow me, hold me and so I chew me get the discounty when me do. Mingle with them posse, believe you me. Gala pressure me, Tanya. See how we dance. Watch me, watch me, watch me, watch me, watch me. I shake me head. Follow me, follow me, follow me. Come, come, follow me. And when me get tired, respond me, get it true or not. No matter hip hop, but hard, they want mercy. I wanna do.
Boo Birds out last night at Comerica Park. Even AJ acknowledged. Can't blame him. Can't blame the fans.
No.
Stoney, this is supposed to be a runway where they take off, right?
No.
Oakland A's for 3 games. Eduardo's back. Scooble's back. Cleared for takeoff.
This is Detroit Red Wings back-to-back Ottawa Senators is what it is.
I like
when
it.
you
You're right.
knew they were done. Now, mathematically, they're obviously not.
No, and the Wings weren't mathematically eliminated
No.
on those days either.
But it was the sign. It was the sign to Steve Yzerman that it's okay to start selling people, whether he might have done it anyway.
And if you're Scott Harris, he may have been selling anyway, but is this not a further reminder
Yes.
that you will be sellers at the end of the month?
Right. The worst thing out of yesterday is that Rodriguez, he was okay. I think it's a shame that first inning got out of whack because Torkelson didn't field the bunt correctly.
It was such a good call by Oakland. They got a
Yes.
speedy 40 stolen base guy leading off. Create a little havoc, put a little pressure on Eduardo in his first start back.
Yeah.
It was a really savvy move. He steals second, and what happened? Eduardo starts falling behind guys, which is uncharacteristic for him. He gets touched up a little bit. Still had 7 strikeouts, left to start healthy. That's all the good stuff. But, yeah, he did not get off to a good beginning.
No. And hopefully this afternoon they'll turn things around. As he told us Friday, Alex Faedo will be back pitching.
Mm-hmm.
I wish, and also that Riley Green, he didn't say give a day, but if you're reading between the lines, he's playing this weekend.
Yeah, he didn't
Barring
announce it,
barring a
yeah.
setback.
When you they very rarely will volunteer information that they don't want out there, and when
Right.
he said, "Yeah, we're looking potentially at this weekend," that means it's a serious consideration. Barring a setback, he'll be here.
Yeah, and that's great.
Yeah, I mean that was our interpretation, the two of us. And again, they could have used him not necessarily last night, but the night before.
Right. So let's say he comes back Saturday, plays 2 games, then he gets the
Yeah,
All-Star
yeah.
break off. So
Perfect.
yes. So what do you think they should do when Green and Baду come back?
Well, Tyler Nevins won,
Yep.
and the other one, Jake Marisnik.
Okay. I'd deal
I'm
with
not going to be mad if it's Scope. I'm
No.
not sticking up for Scope. I don't think he deserves a roster
No.
spot. I mean, they'll play him against lefties, and he's been passable, but
Detroit Tiger hitting. Passable. Not really.
not really.
No.
not really, dude. 17 shutout innings
Yeah.
over the last 2 days against the Oakland A's. And again, it's the Oakland A's.
Right. A team that going into the series had never shut out anybody, the highest ERA in baseball.
6 runs a game. Tiger scores 0 against the starter yesterday.
In 10 innings
right.
on Tuesday.
And then another 0 spot up until later in the game last night.
Yes.
Are you gonna give Gator the 2 grand slam?
Of course.
So just prefacing this, the listener got 5 right today. Do I have that right? 5 right in the
Yes.
2
That's
grand
right.
slam? Okay. Gator, we're gonna go. What are we gonna set the over under at? 7.5?
Gator, yeah, 7.5 is good.
Gaver.
Gator.
I get it.
7.5.
I'll go over.
Good to see you, by
You
the
got
way.
this.
Good to see
You
everybody
have a
else.
good
What's up?
break?
Yeah, hey.
What's that?
You have a good little break?
Yeah, it was nice to have a break.
Yeah? Good.
Good.
All right. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, here we go.
Well, let me. Okay, no, go ahead. I was going to ask a question, but why don't I
Go ahead,
find
ask a
out if
question.
The
No,
question's
go ahead.
part of it. Well, I just didn't know if pronunciation of the word pasty versus pasty was going to come out.
No.
You heard.
Pasty. I said it correct the first time
You
and
did.
incorrect the second
Yeah,
time.
and then you made it
Changes
dirty
everything.
by adding
Yep.
gravy on top
Yep.
of it.
Yeah, I know.
Changes everything.
Yes, it does.
Heather's like, that's not it.
Yeah.
She was ready.
Yeah, she was.
All right, here we go. Clock will start when I start. Who won Nathan's hot dog eating contest, the male side, on Tuesday?
Joey Chestnut,
Ronald Acuna Jr. plays for this Major League Baseball team.
the Bravos,
Dolph Lundgren played this character in Rocky IV.
Ivan Drago,
Who has won the most men's singles championships at Wimbledon?
Djokovic.
This team lost Super Bowl 57 this past February.
Oh, come on, Scott. They beat. Come back to it. Damn it.
This rapper had the 1992 hit Baby Got Back.
Mix-a-Lot.
The MLB All-Star Game will be held in this West Coast city next week.
Is Arizona, and I'll go back, and the other one was the Chiefs beat the Eagles.
All right. This state is known as the land of 10,000 lakes.
Minnesota.
This Detroit Tiger pitcher wears jersey number 29.
I don't know.
All right.
Normally, we don't let people just go back and.
No,
I
but,
said pass. I didn't
But
take
you
a
have to
guess.
pass
You
the
can't go
whole
back.
list to go back.
You got to, yeah.
well, we'll
The
get
Gator gets his own rules. It's okay.
He gets 6.
You got 6?
Yes.
What did I miss?
You missed.
It's Federer at Wimbledon.
Yes.
Oh.
He's got
Well,
the
he
most.
didn't say Wimbledon.
He said Wimbledon.
I said at Wimbledon.
I thought you said most singles
Men's championships at Wimbledon.
Grand slams. It wasn't.
Oh,
Oh, it was
no.
just.
And the All-Star Game's in Seattle, not in Arizona.
I don't care.
All right, okay.
What are you guys getting into today?
I'd like
Trouble.
to say pasties or pasties, but we're not going to do that. No, look, the lineup's out for the Tigers, and there's a name that is conspicuous by its absence.
I haven't even seen the lineup.
Very
Bird.
conspicuous by its absence. I think Doug and I are both very surprised at this juncture. We'll get to that. I mean, that's huge that it's not there. It kind of is unforgivable. Thank you, Doug, for giving me a better word. Yes.
Derek Hill's not playing today. It's okay, though.
He just got released, by the way, I saw by the Nationals.
Again? Get the band back together.
Yes, get another guy who can't hit.
Oh, no.
Hey, have the White Sox used Victor Reyes yet, or is he still hitting like 350 at AAA? Can we bring, no?
No, I don't think so.
We've got a whole team of 4A guys. I mean,
Yes.
we're close enough. Why
I
not
know.
just
Hey,
go?
Maytown had another 2 hits last night.
I know he did.
4 A's, baby.
Like, any moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, Carson Anderson next. We'll see you tomorrow. 97 won the ticket.
So the question is, do we do 5 segments on bringing back Derek Hill or 6 segments on bringing back Derek Hill?
5 might be. I think that's 5's kind of money.
Yeah.
You know,
just
6
don't-
might be a
don't
little
push
too
it.
long. Yeah, let's not.
Reading the audience, do you think that might be a little too much if we go 6 full segments?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We'll let Kang determine. He's a producer. 6 segments on Derek Hill, too many today?
Maybe this is something for the Afterglow boys.
Maybe save that for the afterglow.
Maybe do that. You know those segments you do when you're not on the air? Do it then.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That a good time for it?
We were the most Derek Hill friendly show there's ever been. And when I saw he got released, I was like, they wouldn't.
The Tigers?
Yeah, they wouldn't.
No, they wouldn't.
They wouldn't.
They wouldn't because Scott Harris didn't draft him.
Well, they wouldn't because he can't play.
No, they wouldn't because Scott Harris didn't draft him. They're not going to go back to that Tiger connection.
The biggest problem he has is that he can't play.
He can't hit at the major league level.
No.
He can play. He just can't hit.
No, he can't play because he's always hurt.
Well, that's the issue.
Yep. And he also can't hit. But God, I wanted that guy to make it. And he was in the organization forever. He was like at 26 years old in AAA or whatever it was. But
was it that bad?
I don't know. It wasn't that bad.
The problem was he was drafted as a high school kid, so he was with the team forever.
Well, you know what they say, Gator, about desperate times?
Sure.
Yeah.
Desperate measures.
Yep.
I was kind of half joking because then I like to bring up Victor Reyes, right? And he's with the White Sox organization.
Gator loves himself some Victor Reyes.
He still has not been called up. His numbers. This is astounding to me. For a team as bad as the White Sox are,
yeah.
Why'd you get the guy? Why do you have him in your organization if you're not going to take a chance on him?
Mm-hmm.
He has in 73 games, he's hitting .313 with 16 home runs, 61 runs driven in. He's got a .370 on base percentage, a .921 OPS, also 17 doubles to go with the 16 home runs.
Yep.
And the White Sox haven't called him up even for a cup of coffee.
You know why I think that is, though?
Because they've seen what he can do
because
at the major
he
league level.
can't play.
But at the major league level, he's a .264 career hitter.
Yeah. That actually looked pretty good in the middle of the Tiger order right now.
It would look fantastic if they had a .264 hitter.
Honest
They
to
have,
God.
going into last night, they had one hitter in the lineup that had a batting average above .250. Because they had one guy who was hitting .250. Think about that. How pathetic that is, this offense. How impotent this offense is.
It's bad.
It is so bad. It was terrible last year. It's terrible this year. I mean, they had like a week of a power surge, and then it's gone. I don't know what happened. I don't know. When did the A's become kryptonite?
Well, I mean, the Dodgers can't beat Pittsburgh. There's weird stuff that happens in the course of a season. However, this is a extraordinarily disappointing first two games to a series. And it's funny because I watched that game last night, and all it did was make me more mad about Tuesday when they got an outstanding pitching performance and couldn't scratch out a run in 9 innings.
Yeah, it was, bad enough that we got to see Tarek Skubal come back and pitch near perfectly and near flawlessly. But then, you're out on the right leg of the pitcher who's on the mound after that with Reese Olson, and he pitches brilliantly.
Did he? Was he brilliant?
Yeah.
Was Reese Olson brilliant?
He was pretty good in
I
that
didn't
game.
notice. He was brilliant?
Yeah.
So Reese Olson was brilliant again, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're a big fan.
I didn't notice.
I know. I saw it.
Yep.
I seen it, Doug. I seen it.
But it just made me so seriously. I was like more upset about Tuesday's game when I watched Wednesday's game, and then I heard AJ Hinch say the same thing today. He was like, "It just makes you very frustrated. You can't scratch out a run when you've got Skubal and Reese just throwing BBs up there, and here we are. They've lost the series already, and they're trying to salvage a game. And look, they every once in a while, the Tigers assume the form of an average major league team, which is all it takes to be a contender in this division. And they'll assume that form for a while, and then they will morph into assuming the form of one of the most pathetic offensive baseball teams you've ever seen. And that's where they are right now. And the thing about it is none of it is permanent. It's not permanent that they're the most pathetic offensive baseball team you've ever seen. They have that in their holster, though. They got that club in their bag, or maybe I should say they have no clubs in their bag when they're that. And then they'll come back and they'll look like an average Major League Baseball team, And that average Major League Baseball team can make them a player in this ridiculously stupid division, but it makes them a player in the division, but they can't do the good stuff enough, which is why they're probably not going to be in it in the end. I mean,
I was thinking about it over the weekend and how much I just want to be entertained by this team for the rest of the season. I still can be entertained by this team the rest of the season. But the thought of, is this a potential division winner because the division's so bad? Look, that's still there. That's not going to go away either. But the likelihood that, are they likely to win the division? Not likely. But they are getting a lot of guys back, and that should help out. But when you still have a roster that's chock full of 4A players and chock full of veterans that are well past their prime, it's not chock full of those guys, but they have a handful of those guys that are well past their prime. It's a tough watch because there's so many guys that need to be replaced to make this, an above average baseball team. When I said the lineup yesterday had one guy in it with a batting average above 250, that's hard to say out loud.
I know.
And it's the truth. And look, Riley Green should come back. Maybe tomorrow night, maybe he's back. I was stunned that he wasn't in the starting lineup today, Doug. Stunned. He went 5-5 last night with Toledo.
He hasn't played in the field yet, Gator. That's why. That's the omission. That's your big omission. My big omission is, what are they doing giving Colt Keith a night off last night? No, don't do that. That keeps him one more day away from being here. No days off for Colt Keith. Just rake every day.
Yeah, right. Exactly. But that's the thing, is that even if Riley Green comes back when he comes back to this team this weekend, more than likely, that's just one guy. What else? Akil Baddoo could come back. Okay, but what was Akil Baddoo before he left? Was he an above 250 hitter? It's I like Akil Baddoo as a player, but I think
he's better than what they're parading out there. Let's be clear.
Well, but thinking about the outfield, okay? Is he better than Marisnik at the plate? Yes. Okay, but Riley Green will take care of that. Is he better than Kerry Carpenter at the plate? No. Is he better than Vierling at the plate? No. So where does he fit? He's the fourth outfielder.
He's better than who they have as a fourth outfielder. I brought up Skubal earlier in the week, and people, you quit. I got told to quit painting Skubal as like a savior and a hero, and I said, all I'm asking is him to be better than Joey Wentz. Which
isn't asking much.
No, I'm asking him to be better than what Matt Boyd was.
Yeah, which isn't asking much.
No, but if these guys who are on their way can be better than what we have, that improves their chances of winning on a night-in, night-out basis. Now, the question becomes, at what point do they fade beyond the point of caring about the outcomes of the game? That's so you can be interesting and out of it, which they have not. They've several times have flirted with dropping completely out of this thing, but they always come back. And now the question is, because I didn't expect to be caring about the outcomes of games in July. All I figured I'd be watching is Torks at bats, Greens at bats, Skubal starts, et cetera, et cetera. Now Riley Olsen is obviously a stud.
Reese
Olsen. I keep doing that. Who the hell's Riley Olsen?
I don't know, but Riley Green plays for the Tigers organization too.
I know, but who the hell's? Because I keep calling him Riley Olsen, and I know it's not Riley Olsen, but let's figure out who the hell Riley Olsen is. Anyway, point being,
he's that rangy left-hander from Wake Forest.
At some point, rangy. He's a pitcher with great range.
Rangy, tall, rangy.
At some point,
6'8", 212.
We'll stop caring about the outcomes of games, and some of you already have. I know that. Believe me, every time we bring up the Tigers, you want to remind us that you don't care.
So what I've decided to do is I'm no longer as focused on who's leading the division and how many games behind you are there. I know other people have already done this. It's how close can you be to 500? Because at the halfway point, this team is looking like a 71-91 team, which is 20 games below 500 because, what are they, 10 below right now? That's just
11.
Whatever it is. The logic behind it being that, okay, if you're...
You want them to have a better second half than first half?
Please. Be better than what we've seen and inch closer to the 500 mark. And if they can win, can they get to 75 wins? Sure they can.
But yesterday, Gator, I was talking to Doug about there's two tires you can look at this team as. The team that's 10, 11 games under 500 or the team that's 5.5 back from first place. And so when you look at, depending on which Tiger team you're looking at, is depending on whether you care or feel like they can do something or not. Because if you look at a team that's 10 under 500, like, that team sucks. That team sucks. But if you look at the other category, but they're only 5.5 back.
I know.
So they can't suck. They can win this, right? You look at it as a whole, and you go, all right, you talked earlier about can they be above average? If they're just average, they can win this thing.
Right.
They don't even have to be above average, but
maybe
they're not
that's-
above. They're not even average.
Maybe that's a trick in my head, and I'm just saying, okay, get to 5. If they can get to 500, everything else takes care of itself.
It's funny. That's the way you look at. I look at it just the opposite. I look at it as how they are relative to first place.
I know, and that's how I was looking at it. But now, and I'm not sure why I'm making the shift. I don't know why I'm changing it up. I'm making it harder on myself.
You're just trying to change things up.
That could be.
Yeah. For no reason.
Still no. Riley Green's still not in the lineup
He's
today?
still not in the lineup today, no.
Went 5 for 5
I'll
last night.
keep refreshing Twitter.
Okay.
And Alex DeBrincat isn't a Red Wing yet.
What?
I'll keep refreshing Twitter, although there's a lot more reports on that today that we will cover over the next couple hours here on Carson Anderson Tiger Afternoon Baseball today, providing it doesn't, 97.1 the ticket.
Combining over 75 years of local business with the resources of 560 stores across the United States, Builder's First Source is the expert in window and door installation. Add value and beauty to your home with trusted brands like Anderson, Pella, Therma-Tru, and more. Then have your new windows and doors installed properly the first time with their expert installation team. Find their 2 Metro Detroit locations in Clinton and Shelby Townships at buildersfirstsource.com.
Kang, you want to talk about Gators breakfast today? What he brought in?
I think this might have been a first.
I think it was too, and there was part of it that I absolutely loved. But anyway, I'd never seen you do this before.
But in fairness, okay, I was leaving the house today, and I didn't think that you were doing the show with me today. I thought you were out. I thought I was doing it solo today because I remember talking to Costa a couple weeks ago about this and how he wasn't in with me today, and we're like, it's should be short show because of Tiger baseball, no big deal. Sure, fine, no problem. But I wanted to make sure I got in there early, so I got here like 8:45, 8:50, somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm.
And
When he walked in, I was like, "Oh my God, did I forget to turn my clock back or something?"
But I was leaving the house, and I was in a bit of a rush, and I knew I needed something for breakfast, but I wasn't terribly hungry. And I'm like, what am I going to grab? I grabbed what anybody else would grab.
Did you?
Well, maybe not. I mean, it's not like it's
not.
There's nothing wrong with it.
No, here's what he grabbed.
No, we're not criticizing you. It's just we've never seen this before, especially from you.
I think I brought him in once before, but just once.
He brought in a bunch of grapes
in a bowl.
In a bowl.
A plastic bowl.
Was it plastic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those,
okay.
like, yeah.
I thought it was like you put it in one of your kitchen bowls and brought it in. I didn't realize that was plastic.
Oh, it's a plastic. One of Target's finest.
Yeah,
Okay.
it looked like one of those.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
I might give my little girls.
End cap,
Because that's what I wanted to talk
50
about.
cents a bowl.
Who brings their actual? I thought you were like bringing your actual dishes from home to work.
No, I've done that before, though.
the finest china for
I've made
the red seedless grapes.
I've made like a peanut butter sandwich and brought that. I've done that on an occasion, too.
Have you on a real
Yeah.
plate?
And that comes, but it's not like, okay, I have like leftover old plates, and then I have like my newer plates. This would be like leftover old plates that just keep on hand.
I just saw this on social media. Kang, you're such an a-hole. CBS Sports just tweeted out, name a random outfielder. You know what Kang responded?
Derek Hill.
Riley Olsen.
Oh.
Because I keep calling Reese Olsen Riley Olsen. Very well played. Very well played.
I thought he was a rangy left-handed pitcher from Wake Forest.
No, he's not.
Oh.
All right, so the latest on Alex DeBrincat. Or do we want to finish the Tigers? Do you want to wrap up the Tigers or save it till we lead into the game? I'm sorry. We should have done this off the air. Should we just move on?
Let's move on.
Okay.
Let's have a little fun. Do we have any fun? Is there fun today?
It's National Daniel Day.
Well, that's fun. I'm sorry, National what?
Daniel Day.
Daniel?
Yep.
Like the name Daniel.
Yeah, but I also have Are You Going to Eat That schedule for later. So we have some scheduled fun. But, all right, so the latest on Alex DeBrincat. Story out of Ottawa and why they might want to move Alex DeBrincat sooner rather than later.
Okay.
Because if they move Alex DeBrincat, it actually clears cap space for them to pursue Vladimir Tereshchenko. Now, maybe we ask the question, should the Red Wings just pursue Vladimir Tereshchenko? But he's a free agent and he hasn't signed anywhere as of yet. And so, story by Bruce
Garrioch?
Yeah, I think that's it. From the Ottawa Sun-Times, which I also think is where he works. Anyway, he did a story about DeBrincat being moved and writes, after being given permission to speak to at least three teams regarding a contract extension, his agent, Jeff Jackson, hasn't been able to get the term or money he wants. He writes, Darren Drager said Monday Jackson is seeking a deal similar to Timo Myers, which we've talked about, $8.8 million per season. Red Wings seem to be coming in south of that. The Senators would like to get depth for the third or fourth line through free agency, but some of that is being held up by DeBrincat. The club would like to see what the return might be before making a roster decision. The Senators would expect to get a roster player in return once a DeBrincat deal is made. So this probably isn't for future draft picks, but they would love to free the cap space. So if they want a roster player in return, they probably want a cheap roster player.
Yes.
And so we're talking about a third or fourth liner from Detroit, which I don't think anybody would have a problem with. In fact, I'd be shocked if that's all it took. But, I mean, who are we talking about here? Are we talking about Somebody they just signed?
Well, that's potential, right?
That would seem awfully weird.
It would seem weird that you signed a free agent only to trade them.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, does it make some sense logically? I mean, if you have to sweeten the deal and you've got a guy, because most of these guys were signed to 1-year deals, right?
Yep.
That you can offer somebody that way. I mean, it doesn't sound like it's going to be Philip Zadina. That doesn't sound like that's the
Well,
name.
you can have him cheap.
Yeah. But if you're Ottawa, you're asking for obviously draft pick compensation in addition, and probably a first-round pick. Maybe if they're still asking for it, I don't know. But it's getting to the point where Ottawa has to make a decision.
Yep.
And the teams that seem to be interested, the two biggest teams interested, Detroit and the Islanders, one has cap space, the other one does not.
Yep.
So one can make the deal and the other one can't.
Yep. But if they really want to make a run at Tarasenko, this is the way to do it, is to just move on for DeBrincat, take that money, and pool it to go get Vladimir Tarasenko.
Yeah, and for those who want to know, I mean, Tarasenko's he's just a year removed from scoring 34 goals and having an 82-point season. But prior to that, had been hurt, missed a lot of times in each of the previous 2 seasons, and only scored 7 goals in 34 games over 2 years. But before that, was 5 straight seasons of scoring 30 goals or more.
Yep.
So, I mean, Tarasenko's a really good player, but is he still a really good player? That's what you have to ask yourself. He's coming off a season where he had 18 goals and 50 points in 69 games. He's not what he was, but he might be a good cheap solution for a team that wants good goal scoring, which is that what the Red Wings need.
So,
but he's 31.
Yeah, and there's social media buzz quoting Elliot Freeman from a appearance on the the NHL Network today, talking about the potential for this deal. We'll get to what was said there. 248-539-9797. It's Carson Anderson, Open Lines, 97.1. Doug Carr, Scott Anderson, 97.1 a ticket. Open lines, 248-539-9797. So apparently Elliot Friedman went on the NHL Network, according to a Twitter account, NHL Watcher, and said that the Red Wings are actively working on a DeBrincat trade. He wants to play for Detroit. Zadina being placed on waivers gives Detroit more room to work on a DeBrincat deal. Friedman doesn't think the trade is that far away. The last hurdle's the toughest. Then Greg Krupa, a longtime hockey writer in Detroit, sent out a tweet. Did acquisitions by Detroit Red Wings in free agency give them NHL players whom the Senators can insert in the lineup with an incumbent impact? Will DeBrincat and company realize their contract demands are outlandish and temper their desires? Then he writes, yes and yes, done deal. Huh. So another day and more momentum that this could be happening. It's getting to the point where if it doesn't happen, I'm going to be kind of pissed.
Yeah.
You know?
I get it. I feel we've been on this DeBrincat watch for a while now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because it's been a week. Free agency began less than a week ago. And Yzerman hit the ground running, or hit the ice skating, however you want to look at it, and made a bunch of signings that were underwhelming, to say the least. I think the Compher signing is interesting, but I think they got a good player, not a great player, but a good player.
Mm-hmm.
Did they overpay for him? Did they give him too many years? That's the debate that people would have. But they still didn't get what they needed, which was a goal scorer. And we all thought there's this trade coming for DeBrincat. They'll get a goal scorer eventually. And I know that people, when the weekend came and went, that people were out of their minds. Of all they signed like eight or nine guys, however many guys it was they signed, and none of them are goal scorers. And people were souring on Yzerman and what's the Yzer plan and all this. And I get it, because I'm not thrilled with it either. I'm looking at it and I'm asking the same questions. But I also have in the back of my mind, they still have cap space. They could create some more cap space by just flat out releasing Zadina, which could happen. And they can still sign a player of major significance this offseason, or trade for one, more importantly. And as they're kind of slow playing this thing out, I don't know if it's intentional or not, but it's just how it's been. People thought that DeBrincat would have been traded by the deadline or by the draft. He was not. Traded by the beginning of free agency. He was not. Traded during free agency. Hasn't yet. But it feels like things are afoot. There are only a couple teams that can afford to get him. It's clear Ottawa doesn't want him anymore because he doesn't want to be in Ottawa. That's why. He wants out of Ottawa. Ottawa's like, fine, we've got a guy we'd like to bring in free agency, but we need to create cap space. There's a trade to be had. Will they get it done? But the trade is part of it. Now comes the Yzerman part. What does Yzerman want to do? Like, how many years and how much money is he going to be paying DeBrincat? If DeBrincat wants out of Ottawa so bad, is he going to have to compromise? Are the Red Wings going to have to compromise and meet in the middle? Because if the thought is that his camp wants money that's on par with Timo Meier, who is almost $9 million a season, it's like $8.75 a year, and that's what you gave Dylan Larkin. Do you want to pay him more than Dylan Larkin? I don't think he's worth more than Dylan Larkin. So if you're the Red Wings, you're going to hold on another side of it. Are they looking at, hey, we can give you $7 million a year for 5 years, but they don't want to go 6 or 7 years? This is where those compromises have to take place. And I think you have to look at the age of the player. And he's what, 25?
Yeah.
And how old is Compher? 28?
I think he's 28, yeah.
Okay.
27, 28.
So Compher got a 5-year deal. So Compher's deal takes him to the age of 33. If you went for an 8-year deal, which seems like a long time, but if you went with an 8-year deal with DeBrincat, that would take him to the same age.
Yeah.
So would I rather have DeBrincat during his prime years or Compher? You know, for just the term, for that period of time. I mean, DeBrincat, right?
Yep.
But you've got them both. So this is where that compromise comes in. Do you want to give him more years? Okay, so I mean, if in the end, if you give him 6 or 7 years, it seems like you're still getting these prime years of his career and at a decent price. We'll see what that price is. I would imagine that the Red Wings want to go around $8 million a year at tops.
248-539-9797. Let's get to the people. Trent, you're on 97.1 The Ticket. What's up, Trent?
What is the advantage of signing Dobrinin and Verchenko? The Red Wings will make the playoffs and exit in the first round. The only way to win is to be I shouldn't say the only way. The way to win is to be in the top 6 in the lottery. The only way to get a superstar is in the lottery. That also makes your lower picks higher up. They do it. We were happy when the Lions got in the top 10, and it's just the way to go.
Well, NFL is different. I don't think you can compare the NFL and the NHL when it comes to drafts because NFL players play right away. In the NHL, 18-year-olds don't necessarily play right away, and you can get superstars through trade. You don't just have to do it through the draft.
Who's Vegas's biggest star?
Yeah, you just won the Stanley Cup.
Vegas's biggest star?
Yeah, it's probably Jack Eichel, right?
Well,
they traded for.
They were a loaded team when the first year they were there. They
weren't a loaded team.
Players.
They had players that were going to get them playoff ready, or had a better chance to be playoff ready than say a bad team out of the gate. But to Doug's point, they don't have a superstar player. The closest thing they have to it, I guess, is Jack Eichel, and they traded for him. And just like if you look at, Florida, who's their best player? Kachuk. Yeah. How'd they get him? They traded for him. So you can trade for superstars. You don't just have to go through the draft.
Superstars in the NHL are very, very rare.
Yes, but we just mentioned a couple that were traded for.
And you don't need to be in the top 6. Did you say top 6 of the lottery? Yeah. I mean, I think Vegas has only picked there once.
Which would have been their first year of existence.
The NHL is the only league where the fans don't want to be in the top 6 in the draft. I mean, the players in the top 6, they play, don't they play like the first or the second year?
They can. I mean, typically, well, I think just the timeline of when you can get the players to play, you're drafting 18-year-olds. So how many of those 18-year-olds you're drafting are ready to play and ready to compete the next level that very next season? Not many. Now, do we think that Connor Bedard is going to? Yes. Is Fantilli likely to? He's got a great opportunity to, but not everybody will.
I mean, nobody's turning down a top 6 draft pick. Nobody's turning down a superstar. But I mean, you can only do so much to get in the lottery. You get in the lottery and then hope for the best. And in the Red Wings case, they've had the worst. They've had the absolute worst, just about worst possible lottery luck. No team has dropped more since the Red Wings missed the playoffs. Nobody's dropped more in the lottery than the Red Wings organization. And I don't know, man. If you win the lottery and you can get a superstar, that's great. But if you don't win the lottery, you got to try and win other ways. You got to try and win other ways. And what are you supposed to do? Just say, screw it, let's keep sucking until we win the lottery? Or do you try to win another way? And I think they're doing the right thing here.
Right. I mean, Edmonton sucked for years, had all these top picks, and they finally won a playoff series, but a long time coming. And those top players that they have are getting closer and closer to a free agent contract. Mm-hmm. And who knows what they're going to do. Toronto has been horrible, right? In terms of what they do in the playoffs. They've had some superstar players there. There's no guarantees.
248-539-9797. Phone calls, feedback. We'll get to more of them as we continue to discuss what's going on with the Red Wings. In the meantime, Tiger fans, if you want to vent, feel free. Go for it. AJ Hinch spoke this morning, and we'll play some of the most interesting things he told the morning show, including those that wanted to find Torque as a bust. Wants to talk to you. And for fans, he gets the up and down roller coaster. Some of the stuff we'll get to a little bit later on. Also got another edition of Are You Going to Eat That scheduled. It's Doug Karsch, Scott Anderson, Kang behind the glass, Kenny answering phones, 97.1 The Ticket.
You know what I hate? When you go on your search engine and you look up something and then you're inundated with ads about that something you were looking for. Whether I just looking to check up on my health and how can I eat healthier. Next thing you know, you got a million things popping up. I don't want that. I'm tired of having these creepy ads follow me all around my smartphone, whether I'm on my laptop, whatever it is. If you use DuckDuckGo as your browser, You're going to be able to conduct private searches with the help of tracker blockers that help you prevent the spies that are on those searches. DuckDuckGo Private Search is available on Android, iOS, Windows, and Mac. Keep your searches and browsing activity more private and download it today for free in the App Store or visit DuckDuckGo.com.
I have a brewing story here. The world of sports
thankfully,
and celebrity intersect once again. TMZ is reporting at this hour. Britney Spears smacked in face by San Antonio Spurs security. Wanted pic with Victor Wembanyama.
And she got smacked in the face?
According to TMZ, Spears was allegedly assaulted Wednesday night in Vegas after a member of the NBA phenom Victor Wembanyama security backhanded her in the face, and she filed a police report.
That's not good.
Britney and company walked over to Catch, which is a restaurant. Kang, you know it? Catch?
I've never heard of it.
Okay.
I've been to Pass. Never been to Catch.
All right. Anyway.
There's a lot of restaurants in Vegas, man.
There are
I
a lot
can't
of
attend all of
restaurants
them.
in
Brittany and company walked over to Catch. As they were entering the restaurant,
Great
Brittany spotted Victor.
How did she spot him?
Yeah, how did she know it was him?
We're told she's a fan and went over to ask him if they could take a photo together. She tapped him on his back, right shoulder, and we're told the director of team security for the San Antonio Spurs, the team that drafted Victor last month, instantly backhanded her, causing her to fall to the ground, knocking her glasses off.
No.
Her response wasn't "Hit me, baby, one more time."
Oh,
was it?
oh wow. Did the security guard then say, "Oops, I did it again"?
Doug, it's your turn.
How about
We win, Gator.
You always do. Brittany composed herself and went to her table. We're told the security guy came over to the table and apologized. He said, "You understand how it is when you're being swarmed by fans." He apologized and Brittany accepted it. Brittany's security team spent time with Victor's security guy, and afterwards, her team filed a police report with the Metropolitan Police Department alleging battery.
That's so dumb. If they both were cool with it, then you're cool with it. I thought you were going to say Brittany's security and Victor's security did shots at the table afterwards and got some bottle service.
They shared an app.
They
got the seafood tower.
So Wembanyama's security team took out Britney Spears.
Listen, if it was truly by accident, if like he's just, brushing his hand in that general direction, because she's not tall.
Yeah.
Like she's like 5'2" or something. And if he happens to be, pushing back and it looks like he backhanded her, it's awful, right? You never put your hands on a woman. But you can put your hand out to try to keep somebody corralled, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if there's video of this or not, but it sounds terrible.
Look, if you're a security guy for Victor Wembanyama and you obviously have a job for a reason, you've been called in because the man can get swarmed, and are you trying to keep people away? Was this a moment where he slapped and then like, oh my God, did I just slap Britney Spears? Because you know what?
It's a toxic situation.
A regular person's more likely to sue Victor Wembanyama than Britney Spears. I mean, slapping him makes no sense. Slapping anybody,
right?
Unless it's self-defense. I'm sure she didn't need to be slapped. But if you the realization, there's no way he knew he was slapping Britney Spears when he slapped her, right?
I doubt it. Yeah. I mean, somebody else might say, "Give me more."
All right. It's enough, Gator.
He's brought up the discology, hasn't he? He's going to work his way through an entire catalog.
Well, what year are we at right now?
What?
The greatest hits here.
I mean, it's criminal. I get it. It's,
Well, you know how it is in those scrums or whatever. Maybe he got overzealous a little bit, and they are pushing people back because people get aggressive.
Yes.
And he didn't know it was Brittany or it could be anybody. And like I said, people get aggressive and try to get close to your client.
People are crazy.
Okay. You like?
This is great. Just me.
Do you even know these songs? You're just reading off
I know
titles.
the crazy song. It was from that movie.
Oh, that movie.
Well, no, she did with Melissa Joan Hart.
No, I don't know that movie.
It's like it's a long time ago. It's like late 90s or something. Drive me crazy.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I appreciate the dance moves with it. Did you see that? People on Twitch saw it.
Yeah, well,
People on YouTube saw it.
You're damn right.
Yep. That's okay. So anyway, Brittany's apparently suing VWeb's security detail over this. Well, she probably needs the money. Actually, she might need the money. I was being sarcastic. She might, but whoops.
That's a big whoops.
Yeah, it's a pretty big whoops. Well, they sorted it out, and then she said, maybe I'll sue anyway. Maybe I'll make a police report.
Well, maybe she didn't like what the security crew had to say to her security crew. Because it seemed like everything was cool. Then the security crew started talking to each other, and then she decided to press charges, right?
Security guy came over to the table and apologized. He said, you understand how it is being swarmed by fans. He apologized, and Brittany accepted it. Brittany's security team spent time with Victor's security guy, and afterwards the team. But yeah, I mean, what did he say to their security team? Her security team get from this guy?
Yeah. I mean, if he actually slapped her, as opposed to, if he holds his hand out and just kind of pushes, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
If there was intent for a slap as opposed to just backhanded pushing people away is different. If he actually slapped her, then go ahead, sue. I have no issue with that.
At a high-end Vegas restaurant, I'm suspecting the likelihood of there being security footage of this incident, and we'll be able to see, was this a full-on slap or was this a reaction to what he thought was an overzealous fan, put his hand up to move her away, and ended up inadvertently slapping her.
Right, and somebody's got to have a cell phone video.
100%.
Too. I mean, Conor McGregor. I mean, his incident a couple of weeks ago was all over the place. So I'm sure that this is going to be.
This is 2 stars like this in Vegas. Cell phones were out, but either way.
By the way, this restaurant is in the Aria Hotel.
Okay.
There is security film of this. There has to be, right?
Well, no, they're the one casino that doesn't have security, Doug, in Vegas, actually. It's a little known fact.
Aria is also known for running amok, is really what it's called.
Well, she'll come back from this stronger, right, Gator?
There he is. Yes.
How many songs does she have in total? And are we going to try and work our way through this whole list?
There's a few.
Yeah. It's going to be a circus, that's for sure.
One of the first
I already
things.
said circus.
One of the first feedbacks that come in is nobody with any connection to the NBA ever hits anyone with a closed fist.
She flopped.
This is true.
She flopped. And you know what? One free throw for Wembanyama and ball and possession.
It's a blocking foul.
Charge or flop, right?
Yeah.
Charge or block.
Well, we laugh because it sounds like Brittany's okay.
Yeah, that's the reason why I don't think the suing thing. If she's fine, like
she
totally
had
fine.
dinner
Like there's-
anyway.
Yeah.
She didn't seek medical attention.
I mean, they apologize, misunderstanding.
It's embarrassing.
Then you just move
There's
on.
embarrassment.
That's it.
Mm-hmm. So end of story.
Maybe a donation to a charity, something like that.
Something good could come out of it.
Maybe.
Her glasses did fall off. So he might need to buy her a new pair of glasses.
Maybe for 24 hours they put her face on a sphere.
She's lucky. I told you about that.
That thing looks cool.
I know.
For people who don't know, what is it's just a giant ball?
No. They're gonna hold events inside. You have concerts, all that stuff.
How big is it?
It's big. You guys know I go there every year because that's where I live, and I've been seeing this thing being built, and then like my friends that actually do live there, we drive by, we talk. I'm like, when is this thing gonna get finished? All this stuff, and so as soon as I leave, like a week later, they start testing the sweet LED, like on the outside, the lighting, and it can be anything. It's awesome, and it's $2.8 billion they spent on this.
So it's massive. Like I'm looking outside here, and there's a big office building in front of us. It's like twice the size of that, right?
Oh yeah, it's no, I would say
The
maybe
building's 30 stories high.
Oh, you talking about the bigger one behind
No, I'm
it?
talking about the one straight out here, not the Citizens Bank.
The one
building.
that's 4
I forget how
stories
much
high?
it holds. You can look up how many people it holds because it is a venue for things. And,
So is it in? So I just
No,
so
no,
it's a sphere.
Yeah,
Does
it's
a
part of the
sphere-
Venetian.
So does it open up, or there's an entryway in there, and then
No, there's like doors and entryway.
Okay.
You know,
well,
when you walk in.
let me get out of my Google search for Britney Spears song.
Go ahead, you can open another window up.
Yeah.
There you go. But like this is what. Remember the Little Caesars Arena when we thought the top of the roof was gonna like be able to just change into whatever LED lights, and they never did that.
Yep.
This is coming through. Like it was an eyeball. It was they made it the NBA basketball because Summer League's there. You know, it's coming up this weekend.
It looks.
They can make it.
It looks ridiculous.
Anything.
Wow. It's huge. It's an 18,600 seat auditorium.
Yeah, I'm telling you,
that's
you could
huge.
go see Celine Dion there, Doug.
Yeah, you
Whatever,
could, Doug.
Yeah,
Doesn't hold enough.
it doesn't.
Need a
You're
bigger
right.
Well,
venue.
she needs a residency. She needs
Yeah.
to perform there every night.
Raise
and-
the prices. More intimate setting.
Yeah,
Just got
a couple $100 a ticket.
Scott wrote in flagrant 1. Britney Spears drew a flagrant 1 from V-Web security guard. Okay, Gator saw a situation and is ready to pounce. Take advantage and pounce. I like the way you're thinking, Gator. We'll get to that today at 11:02. Also, next hour, another edition of Are You Going to Eat That? We got Tiger Baseball this afternoon. Hear the best of A.J. Hinch coming up in the noon hour from what he told the morning show, including what he has to say to the Torque critics. All that, Carson Anderson, straight ahead, 97.1.
Brought to you by Mother Waddles. The Daily Faceoff says that Philip Zadina is expected to go on unconditional waivers around noon today as a mutual contract termination between him and the Red Wings. He bets on himself and will get his change of scenery. Tigers manager A.J. Hinch admits that the last 48 hours haven't exactly been the best for Detroit baseball. Fans voiced their emotion during last night's blowout by raining boos on the field at Comerica. Well, Hinch and the players say they're continuing to move forward.
I'm
oh, yes, Gator.
You said raining booze. I was expecting to hear something like bourbons being dropped from the sky. That's not what you meant?
Not the good booze.
Okay.
Would that be good?
Just my bad.
Just look up, open your mouth. Perfect. It'll be Michael Lorenzen. He takes the bump as an all-star for the first time ever in about 2 hours. He had a rough month of June, though. The team was 0-6 during his starts as he put up a 5.30 ERA. Dan Dickerson and Jim Price will call the action today right here on 97.1 The Ticket. A.J. Hinch also said that Alex Faedo will return from the IL to pitch tomorrow versus Toronto. And Lions star receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown is buying the offseason hype. Saint told SI that he appreciates the grand expectations for the team. He says it's cool and fun to see the fans excited, and he does see it everywhere he goes around town. At the Ticket Update Desk, I'm Chris Villar. For more, go to 97.1 The Ticket and Odyssey.com.
I like how Villar is getting really comfortable with the Lions. Look at that. Saint. He's calling him Saint like
My boy.
Coach Dan Campbell would. I like that. Embracing our culture here. I like that.
Step it up.
Yeah.
You what do you make of that? The Zadina just doesn't want to be here so bad. He's willing to allow them to put him on the waiver wire for the purposes of his unconditional release, meaning he is giving up $4.56 million in guaranteed money.
This is this might be one of the ultimate betting on yourself moments. And he's young. He's got an opportunity to bet on himself and go ahead and do this. He's looking at the opportunity. He doesn't think he's going to get one here in Detroit.
Yep.
Right? So he can go ahead and ask for it, and then he's going to have to figure it out later. I'm disappointed that it didn't work out. This guy, when he was drafted, and he was the one that said he's going to make people pay, well, Montreal specifically.
Yeah.
They're going to
Fill their nets with pucks.
Fill the net with pucks. They're going to rue the day they passed on me.
Mm-hmm.
And the ruining hasn't happened.
No ruining.
There's been
at
no
all.
ruining. And it's been unfortunate for him. He's had some injuries he's had to deal with. It looked like last year maybe he was starting to get it and get some more ice time and was making more plays, but they just weren't often enough. And at this point, that Steve Eisman's like, we're going to cut bait or at least put him on waivers. Maybe it would have worked out if he'd clear waivers. They could reassign him and give him a chance to make the team. If he doesn't, go to Grand Rapids and maybe something happens there. You resurrect it. But the Red Wings can save some money.
I would, you know how you have a gut feeling? I have a gut feeling he's not going to make $4.5 million in the rest of his professional career in the NHL. He might play overseas, but this doesn't feel like it's a great business move. He'd be under contract for the next 2 years. If that meant 2 years in Grand Rapids to make $4.5 million, then so be it. But
yeah, I don't think it's a great business decision. But again, this is an opportunity for you to bet on yourself. You know you've got more to give. Somebody has to give you an opportunity, though. And the Red Wings are one of the worst teams in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So if you didn't have that opportunity, the Red Wings, who are you going to get that opportunity from? Find one of the other bottom feeder teams and have your agent reach out and try to get a chance. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, honestly,
I don't know what. I mean, he's got to believe in himself to do this.
He really has to believe in himself, and I mean, good luck to him. This is what he wants. Good luck to him. Okay, so I don't love typically doing as a topic talking about media,
Mm-hmm.
but there is a pretty huge story going on in sports right now, and that is all the cuts at ESPN.
Yeah,
and you know, it's just like any other industry when there are cutbacks and people lose their jobs. It's sad and it sucks. These are a lot of names and a lot of people that I've watched for a lot of years that are being let go. And there's some of the names I really don't know, but some of them are pretty big. Probably my favorite of all the people that have been let go is Todd McShay. I really respect his work, like his work, and, you know, did a lot with the draft, but he did a lot with college football. But you brought up a great point, and I'll let you share. I'll let you make the point.
Well, with all these cuts, and you and I talk a lot about how do we make the Big Ten network better,
Mm-hmm.
specifically because it's our conference, we root for it, and we want to see it better. How do you make, you know, the noon show better or whatever they do on Fox, because it's all Big
Big
Ten
noon
centric.
kickoff.
Yeah. How do we make it better? Well, they need to we'd like to see some bigger names, but more specifically with the Big Ten network, because they've got some big names for the Fox show. But when I see names like Keyshawn Johnson, and Keyshawn offers some pretty good insight, USC wide receiver. Hey, look who's coming to the Big Ten. It's USC. When I see Hasselbeck, Matt Hasselbeck's name brought up, I was a big fan of the Hasselbeck broadcast when it had the two brothers on there. Yep. I thought it was wildly entertaining. Like, I thought it was great. The opportunity is there for the Big Ten Network to step up, take advantage of this situation with ESPN. They've let these guys go, bring them to the Big Ten Network, give them a contract, and see what happens. Because, you know, ESPN's loss will be somebody's gain. Why not Big Ten Network? David Pollack is another one who I think does a great job with college football. He's a Georgia guy. Maybe he's better suited for the SEC, but I think he's great. He's very well-rounded when talking about all of the schools. So love to have David Pollack come over. Todd McShay is the other name. You know, is he just a draft analyst, or is there something else there? But I guess the point is there's a lot of names out there. I'm a big Susie Colbert fan, always have been. I think she'd be a great in-studio host. I mean, they can do things here.
Yep.
Things could be afoot for Big Ten Network or other networks that carry Big Ten football.
I'll give you another name. Gene Wojciechowski does a lot of
reporting.
Yeah, a lot of reporting, and does a lot of, feature pieces. Typically he's a guy who does like the inspirational stuff and kind of long form.
He could be the Tom Rinaldi.
Yeah. I love the idea of him with the Big Ten Network. Big Ten Network's been interesting in that they've provided this service where it feels like they give former Big Ten athletes chances on TV, which is kind of cool. But I find myself at the end of a college basketball game and they go to the studio and I'm like, all right, we welcome in Scooney Penn. And I'm like, Scooney Penn? Like, where the hell have you been? And, here's James Augustine and all these guys that played in the Big Ten
right?
That you had no idea did anything on the air.
We'll get insight from Uwe Blab coming up.
Yeah, right. And you have a chance now to go get some more recognizable names. And it's someone who came up in broadcasting. Somebody gives you a chance, and that's awesome. But nobody cares who you are at the beginning. These guys have name recognition at least, but it feels like the Big Ten Network has served as a training ground for former Big Ten athletes. Now they can get some real, more heavy hitters on their network, and I hear you. And I also know that Big Noon Kickoff show. Look, everybody has their favorites, and that's fine. I'm still a College Game Day guy. I love College Game Day, and they kept Herbstreit. Like, I always wish the Big Ten Network had just pounced and grabbed Herbstreit from day one.
Yep.
I mean, on the desk, they got two former Big Ten guys in Herbstreit and Desmond, and Lee Corso was a coach in the Big Ten, and none of those guys are in the Big Ten Network. And I was like, if you really wanted to be taken seriously from day one, go steal one of the heavy hitters. Now,
right, and the Big Noon Kickoff has
the Big Noon Kickoff always had felt to me
Matt Leinart, Reggie Bush, and
Brady Quinn.
And
the Big Noon Kickoff was really often a Big Ten game, and I guess Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart and Brady Quinn and Woodson's on that show too, and so there was a Big Ten presence. But I always felt like it was a Pac-10 centric show, a Pac-12 centric show, whatever they are now, a West Coast centric show. Which just because you played in the Pac-12 doesn't mean you can't analyze the Big Ten. I realize that, but it just feels like here's an opportunity for the Big Ten Network to swoop in and get some of these guys.
It'd be great. Yep. And on the basketball side too, Jalen Rose, another one who was cut.
Yep.
Jalen breaking down Big Ten basketball. I'd love that.
It's an opportunity for the Big Ten Network to upgrade. And I do respect and kind of like, all of a sudden there's Jess Settles on the, but I'll give you an example of a guy who's debuted on Big Ten Network and I think is absolutely fantastic. But the first time I saw him was on Big Ten Network and I'm like, oh, so this is what Robbie Hummel's doing. Robbie Hummel's so good. Yeah. I love listening to Robbie Hummel do games. And I hope the Big Ten Network never loses him. So you can find guys and develop talent. I hope they can keep him.
One of the first ones they hired at Big Ten Network was Carissa Thompson.
That's right.
and watching that Big Ten tailgate show on late Friday nights. It was entertaining because it was almost like they just started. The Big Ten Network had just started, and they're like, "You guys run with it. Whatever you want to do, run with it. We're going to carry this 3-hour long or whatever it was show on Friday nights, and we'll be from a different college town in the Big Ten. Just have at it." And they did, and they ran with it. It was entertaining.
It was Jordan Klepper was one of the. There were two comedians that were the hosts. Klepper was one because he's a state of Michigan guy. I think he's from Kalamazoo, and he's now on Comedy Central. But I don't know who the other guy was. But yeah, it was a neat show. And I remember talking to the people at the Big Ten during that time saying, "Hey, I really like that Friday night tailgate show." And their response was, "Really?" Like they were surprised people liked the show. But
aren't you guys not addressing the big elephant in the room though?
Which is,
why were these guys let go from ESPN? Why are these tons of these layoffs happening?
Too much money?
Yeah. So why does the Big Ten's got to go spend this much money?
No,
those guys
they don't, because the
want to take a huge pay cut.
Yeah, the market's there. I mean, if they want to work, they could find work at other networks, right?
Well, it depends. I don't know what happened at ESPN specifically. Other like, hey, you were just let go no matter what, or did you not want to take a pay cut? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, so if they don't, for those that did not want to take a pay cut, I couldn't see them going to a lesser network. Or
I can't if that's their only option.
Nowadays with podcasting and just YouTube and everything, everyone's got a crazy amount of different avenues to supplement their income.
So that's one of the great misnomers out there is how much money's in podcasting, and it's if you have a big enough name, you've got a shot. I think it's really hard to make ends meet podcasting, no matter how big your name is. Now, could a Jalen Rose get picked up by like The Ringer or something like that, where they're paying him a salary, and that could happen? I guess it just depends what you want to do. You won't get all these people, but I bet you have a shot that some of them will pick up the phone and listen.
I think it would be a lot less than, because there's so many people being laid off right now. I think a very, very small fraction. But
all we're talking about is the people that would do college sports. I mean, the Big Ten Network's not going to get who's somebody that was laid off that doesn't. Stan Van Gundy is probably going to get an NBA job somewhere, right?
Did he get let go?
Jeff Van Gundy. Sorry, Jeff Van Gundy. One of the Van Gundys, whichever Van Gundy just got let go.
The other names from the original Big Ten tailgate show, as you mentioned, Jordan Klepper, Steve Waltine, and Tim Baltz.
Really?
Were the other ones. They were Chicago area improv actors with Jordan Klepper and Carissa Thompson.
Max Kellerman's not coming to the Big Ten Network, I suspect.
Probably not.
No. Anyway, it's a great idea, Gator. Big Ten Network, pounce on some of these people. 248-539-97. Does that sound weird? Pounce on some of these people? Should I not phrase it that way?
No, you can.
All right. 248-539-9797. Phone calls, feedback. All right. This is being called by one major media outlet the Detroit Lions' biggest gamble of the offseason. It's the biggest gamble of the offseason. Gator, I want you to think about what you think it is, and I want to take 10 texts right now. We'll take 10 texts. What do you think is being deemed the Detroit Lions' biggest gamble of the offseason? Text at 248-539-9797. Make sure to sign it, and we'll read the first 10 texts that come in, and we'll tell you what this major media outlet says is the Lions' biggest gamble of the offseason at 11:24. Open lines, Carson Anderson, 97.1. The other thing that may happen is the Big Ten has entered a new TV contract with CBS and NBC. So they're probably going to look at hiring some of these ESPN people that have been let go, specifically the college football audience. I mean, look, you're right. David Pollack, I think, is really, really good, and he has no Big Ten background, but I'd listen to him.
Yeah, well, he was on a national stage. It wasn't like he was, just talking SEC football.
Nope. And I mean, I would think that the problem is the SEC network is owned by ESPN. It's a spinoff of ESPN. So if David Pollack is let go by ESPN, he's probably not resurfacing on the SEC network.
Look,
so
a lot of these names are probably too big for the Big Ten network,
No,
but they're
but
not
Fox-
too big for the other networks that cover the Big Ten.
no, and if you get hired by Fox, you can have a Big Ten network assignment or two. Maybe be part of a studio show, a guest appearance.
Exactly.
So
I think David Pollack on a studio show for the Big Ten, whether it's Big Ten Network or Fox, would be great. A great addition. As I mentioned before, I think the Hasselbeck brothers, having those guys doing a weekly broadcasted game would be fantastic.
Well, the thing is, we're talking about, still two more networks that probably are rounding out their talent, and NBC and CBS. So they could be adding some of these ESPN layoffs as part of their team. All right. So I mentioned before the break, a major publication called this the biggest gamble of the Lions offseason. Gator, I'm going to read some of what has come in. Kang, I guess I want you haven't seen this, right?
No, I haven't.
All right. I want to get your response to this. Biggest gamble, JMO, literally. That's from Jordan. Aha.
Oh, so it is.
Jim and Clausen says the biggest gamble is not having a backup quarterback. Brian in a truck, biggest gamble, unproven kicker. Unnamed texter, the Lions ignored the defensive tackle position. Biggest offseason gamble.
Really, that didn't completely ignore it. But,
not a Broderick Martin fan.
Well, they brought guys back.
Yep. But they didn't upgrade much. They've upgraded with I think people feel like they upgrade with a low-round draft pick when they upgraded with a third-round draft pick. But they just feel like he had a low-round grade in many people's eyes.
Well, they didn't upgrade through free agency. They brought guys back that were free agents. So I can understand that.
Nicholas in Berkeley says, biggest gamble, not signing Jared Goff to an extension. Do you think, it's a gamble because you'd be potentially losing him? Do you think there's danger of losing him? I don't.
Well, you're asking me.
Yeah.
And this happened to be the one that I thought of.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's because I don't think there are a whole lot of gambles from what the Lions did this offseason. I really don't.
No.
So do I think there's a little bit of a gamble by the Lions not giving Goff an extension at this point? I think there's a little gamble because Goff could have a fantastic year and really put himself in position to get a giant payday. And would you have had a better opportunity to, get him at a more reasonable number if you approached it now as opposed to waiting? It's a gamble you're taking.
There is a risk. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's where I see it.
John in Berkeley says, biggest gamble, not doing Hard Knocks again.
You guys see this is the latest they've ever gone without announcing who the Hard Knocks team is?
Doesn't the show start? They have to start
I thought
filming in
this
like a
was-
few weeks.
So
Was this a done deal that it's going to be the Jets?
no, that's what everyone just assumes, and it probably will be the Jets, but it's not official. I mean,
Well, I thought
last
that they
year,
had determined it was going to be the Jets, and the Jets weren't happy about it, but who cares, Jets?
well, they don't have a say really, but
Yeah.
last year, March 28th, the Lions were announced. The year before that, July 2nd, Cowboys. Year before that, April 7th, Chargers, Rams. 2019, June 11th, the Raiders were announced. 2018, May 17th, the Browns were announced. And it keeps going by April 19th, March 23rd, May 27th, June 12th, June 15th, May 29th. There was none in 2011, and 2010 was March 25th. So we're at July 6th now, and still haven't been officially announced.
Interesting.
The Jets are really trying to not be on
No, I
this.
bet. Yeah, it sounds like it. Unnamed texter, the biggest gamble has to be Jahmyr Gibbs. So many players on the board, they could have made an impact with this team. The second biggest gamble is Jameson. Well, they didn't do anything with Jameson this season. If it's the tongue in cheek or the gambling connotation, I
Well,
gotcha,
let's look at the Jahmyr Gibbs thing. Is that a gamble? It's a gamble.
Yep.
I mean, for sure. People didn't expect that was the player they were going to trade back to get.
Don in Armada says, biggest gamble, not adding more to the wide receiver room.
There's a gamble there for sure.
Pete says biggest gamble, signing David Montgomery.
I don't see that as gamble. Do you?
No. Brian in Chelsea says the Lions are gambling that their offense will be so good it'll carry the defense.
I think then you haven't looked at the moves the defense have made, because the defense looks like it's vastly improved, and they were a much better defense the second half of the season, and he improved on that.
Kang, do you care to venture a guess before I get to what the answer is?
Yeah, someone texted in. It was Jim and Clausen. I think the biggest gamble for the Lions this year is they do not have a backup quarterback.
Okay.
That's a big one.
Well, of the 10 texts, somebody got it exactly. It was done by Sports Illustrated. They do 32 teams in 32 days, and today was the Lions. Biggest gamble this offseason, not adding another receiver. Detroit has talent on the perimeter, but it'll be missing second-year receiver Jameson Williams for part of the season. Williams was suspended 6 games, blah, 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 blah. In 2022, Amon-Ra St. Brown caught 106 passes for 1,161 yards and 6 touchdowns, pacing Detroit in all 3 categories. Unfortunately for the franchise, there wasn't much behind St. Brown, with Khalif Raymond being the second most productive wideout with 616 yards. After trading up to the number 12 pick in last year's draft to get Williams, while he rehabbed from a torn ACL, the thought was he'd pair with St. Brown to stretch and overwhelm defenses. Now with his talent sidelined for a tough early stretch, the Lions are relying on a healthy rookie running back in Gibbs and a supporting cast that seems a bit too thin to scare good defenses until Williams returns. They don't even mention Marvin Jones.
Well, and I think by not mentioning Marvin Jones, because it's a swap out. It's Jones for Chark. So they didn't add anything to the wide receiver room. They swapped a guy out.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I'm not sure it's an upgrade. Even though I know
right.
Chark was
understand.
hurt, I don't have high expectations for Marvin Jones.
I don't have high expectations either. And the reality was that DJ Chark didn't have a great season last year either, but it was because he was hurt. When he did play, he was reasonably productive. Can Marvin Jones be as productive for a full season that DJ Chark was per game in the few games that he played? That's what we'll see. But I mean, that's a legitimate risk that they're taking here, a legitimate gamble by not bringing in another wide receiver yet.
But I think they're counting on Laporta and Gibbs. That's why, you know? And so it's technically not the receiver room, so I understand the criticism from Sports Illustrated, but I agree with you, Doug. I'm not expecting much from Marvin Jones this year. I liked him when he was here before, but this happens fast in the NFL with receivers, losing a step, not getting separation. Look at Adam Thielen, who was a better Pro Bowl type receiver in his prime than Marvin Jones was, and he's been shipped off to Carolina just to have a veteran presence for Bryce Young. But it happens quickly where these guys lose a step. So, yeah, they're waiting on Jameson to get back, but I think they're trying to make up for it with, like I said, with Gibbs and Laporta, and that's where – and you say this all the time, Doug. You don't think Goff has had tons of elite weapons, really. St. Brown's probably the best receiver they have, and he'll be back, right? And then they count on Khalif Raymond and the other guys kind of fill in the rest, because when healthy, Chark, he's better than Marvin Jones. When healthy.
He has more upside, yeah.
He just has more of an overall talent right now, but he wasn't healthy enough. They moved on from him. They brought in a veteran, but like I said, I think Gibbs and Laporta. Count on them.
248-539-9797. We'll get to your phone calls and feedback. In the meantime, Gator.
Yep.
Somebody's coming back tomorrow. And somebody else looks like he's coming back Saturday.
Well, a couple people coming back tomorrow.
We'll get to that today at 11:35. 97.1 The Ticket.
Just saw that there's a concert announced.
Oh, yeah? Something you're going to go to?
I think I'd like to.
Let me think here.
I think you would like to.
We'd both like to go?
Yes, sir.
Well, the streams don't cross here very much.
I know.
No, I had a thought, but no. We both would like to go.
Yep. Let me just check the schedule here for you to see if you're able to.
Who's the... Let me just double check.
It's not Whiskey Myers.
Okay. I only like one Whiskey Myers song anyway.
Good news. Michigan plays at home against Indiana the next day.
All right.
So you're not out of town.
Is it a noon start, though?
That's Indiana. It's probably a night game.
Might be.
Is it Britney Spears with the opening act of Victor Wembanyama?
It is not.
Dang.
Let me get this out of the way. Celine Dion Gator? Is it Celine
No,
Dion?
I it said it's something that you and I would both have interest in.
I mean, this answer is going to be obvious when it comes. Is it Public Enemy?
No. The opening act is something you would love to see.
Okay.
And the main act is something I think you'd like to see.
Okay, now I'm confused.
It's a farewell tour.
Again?
I think it's again.
Yeah.
But this one really kind of feels like it's a farewell tour.
I guess just tell me. I have no idea.
Why don't you just tell Doug?
The opening act is Steely Dan.
I was going to say Steely Dan, but you don't like Steely Dan, do you?
They're fine. I wouldn't seek them out.
Bury the bottle, mama. It's grapefruit
Wine. Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
So Steely Dan opening up for the Eagles.
Oh.
Obviously, Glenn Fry has passed,
Mhm.
so he's no longer with the band. But his son, Deacon Fry, has been touring with them, along with Vince Gill has been touring with them as well.
Does Deacon Fry have the Deacon Blues?
He may have to for that tour.
Yep.
But Friday the 13th at LCA in October.
Yeah, Steely Dan. Love Steely Dan. I think there's a community college that teaches a class on Steely Dan lyrics.
You think so?
What the hell were they talking about?
Yeah, well, it's, 70s, so.
All right, we'll get to your phone calls in a moment, but we mentioned before the break, Akil Baddoo expected to be activated tomorrow, according to Chris McCoskey. Covers the Tigers for the Detroit News. Riley Green should be back Saturday. And, of course, this morning you heard A.J. Hint say Alex Faedo will start. So he will get the start tomorrow, but probably just like a Scooble pitch count is the guess. But Riley Green, expect him back Saturday. Today's the first game he's going to play in the field.
I can't believe he's not in the lineup this afternoon.
I know you really are working that.
Of course I can believe. He hasn't played the outfield yet since he's been at Toledo. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. And the reason he was on the injured list was because of what they thought was a stress fracture initially. So I get you're going to want to see him, running around a little bit. Hey, man, how's it feel?
And make sure there's no static at all.
Look at you. You know why you can say something like that? FM.
That's right. 248-539-9797.
Your lyric was from that song.
Yes. Let's get back to your phone calls. We got a Nick here on 97.1. Hi, Nick.
Hey, guys. Hey, I think Kang hit the nail right on the head when he mentioned Sam Laporta filling in, because I really think at first I didn't really understand the draft pick, but now I kind of do. And I really think he's going to kind of play a flexed out tight end, big body receiver role. And I think, that interview that I read recently with George Kittle just kind of confirmed that this guy's going to be a stud.
It's going to be fascinating watching the public opinion get shaped of Sam Laporta in Detroit.
I like it.
Sam Laporta in Detroit. Maybe we will call him Sam Kittle. Maybe he'll be that good.
I think he's going to be. That's what they expect him to be, that type of player at some point.
I'm reading so much, and and everything I read about him in the early stages, man, it reminds me of what was being said about T.J. Hawkinson. It reminds me a ton of what was being said about T.J.
Well,
Hawkinson.
except was Hawk talked about as having a case of the dropsies?
No.
Like Laporta. Like Laporta's, they talk about maybe his hands could be an issue, but
I guess I haven't seen that.
Once he's got the ball in his hands, it looks like he's just dynamic.
And where you are drafted shapes public perception so much. It really does. And there was hot critics from moment one, and I understand why. I don't subscribe to the theory of, hard and fast rules that pertains to the draft, but Laporta is going to have the benefit of being drafted later. He won't make as much money, but if he goes out and he's kind of like Hawk, he is going to be absolutely beloved. 248-539-9797. Let's go to Dimitri. What's up, Dimitri?
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I just want to say that I think the biggest gamble they took was at running back, not receiver. First, they got rid of Jamal Williams, who was like a sure goal line back. Then they traded Swift for peanuts on the dollar. Then they drafted a running back way higher than I would have ever done in this draft. You got guys like A-Chain and Kendre Miller and Tank Bigsby going late. So I just think a running back was way bigger gamble than anything at receiver.
Well, the running back they did select, and Jahmyr Gibbs is one of two guys that were taken in the first round, and one of two backs. I think the only two backs that people thought would have been first round picks. He's highly ranked for a reason. He's an outstanding player who's poses a threat in the running game and the receiving game. And with the addition of David Montgomery, I think you don't even worry about the loss of Jamal Williams.
Yeah, but I think Devin A-Chain, especially, like, that guy looks like he's just as good as Gibbs, maybe better even, and he went like in the third or fourth.
Well, he's got crazy speed.
later.
A-Chain had crazy speed. There's no question about that. But I don't know if he was evaluated to be the same thing as Gibbs. But I had interest in A-Chain later in the draft.
Yeah.
Thank you for the phone call, 248-539-9797. We're talking about that because of a story in Sports Illustrated. They do 32 teams in 32 days. Today's the Lions said the biggest gamble of the offseason was not adding to the receiver room. They also had position of strength. What do you think position of strength was?
For the Lions?
Yeah.
Their offensive line.
Yep, that is correct. Position of weakness.
As they've made all these additions to the team, I don't think the secondary is anymore. It might be wide receiver. It might be linebacker. I'll say wide receiver at this point because they're missing out on JMO for the first 6 weeks.
That is incorrect.
Well, it's not incorrect. It just differs from the opinion of whoever wrote this.
No, it's incorrect. Sure, you're right. That's not what they said.
Is it kicker?
It is not kicker.
Because I can make a strong case for kicker.
So position of weakness, you've said wide receiver, kicker.
Or linebacker, but I went wide receiver. So what do you got?
Linebacker's incorrect.
All right, who is it?
They say tight end. Lions are banging on second-round pick Sam Laporta to replace veteran T.J. Hockenson, who Detroit traded at the deadline last year to the Vikings. Without Hockenson, the Lions did very little at tight end last season, with backup Brock Wright catching 18 passes. Wright will likely stay at second on the depth chart, with Laporta getting the majority of the reps. At Iowa, Laporta, blah, blah, blah.
I'm sorry, did they get touchdowns out of the tight ends?
Didn't they score as many touchdowns in the second half of the season for the tight end position as Hawk gave them in the first half?
Yeah.
The production went down not at all.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to, here's where the production went down. The production went down in terms of receptions and yards, but scoring, no, it went up.
Yeah. And they've added to the position.
They have, and the guy that they drafted a couple years ago, they think that as he's healthy now. What's your guy? You always talk about him. The tight end, James Mitchell.
Oh, right.
The James Mitchell, now that he's healthy, that he can come back and be a threat in the passing game.
Yeah.
I actually like their tight ends.
I do too. I was really surprised that was the answer. Story. Sports Illustrated, they do 32 teams in 32 days. Today was the Detroit Lions. Matt Verderame.
Kang, if you had to pick a position group that you think is the strength outside of, or the weakness, I guess.
I was going to say defensive tackle, but I don't know if they grouped the defensive line all in one, you know? So I was just going to say the inside guys, because the outside guys, you think with
depth,
with Houston and Hutchinson, with all the numbers they put up last year, and then you add a healthy Okora back, Harris is coming back healthy, hopefully. So I was going to say DT. The tight end thing is weird because are we counting too much on a second-round pick? That just made me think a little bit. Are we valuing what they have at the tight end position because there are a bunch of undrafted, low drafted guys.
But I feel like
then they got the second round pick.
Did they get away with it last year, or was that just, hey, this is how we can use the tight ends? We can shift our focus from throwing it to T.J. Hawkinson, and we'll throw it elsewhere, and we have a running game. We're more balanced. And then they go out and they add a Sam Laporta. It's like, I think they added what they needed to add.
It's we get further and further removed from last year's Lions season. I can't get over how remarkable it is they did what they did offensively with who they did it with. They had an elite offensive line. They had Jared Goff. They got a really good offensive coordinator. They got a top 20 wide receiver in Amon-Ra and a bunch of dudes. Like, offensively, Jamal Williams, with all respect due, isn't in anybody's top 15 running backs in the NFL. Neither is Swift, and neither is any of their tight ends or wide receivers. And their offense was potent, man. And so it really is. I'm more and more in awe of what they did last year offensively and who they did it with. And I think their skill positions collectively are going to be better. Now, all these positions, like this is the time of year where people are just looking for content, so they rank. Here are your top 15 tight ends. Here are your top 15 wide receivers. Here are your top 15 running backs. Here are your top 15 quarterbacks. Goff makes the quarterbacks list, and Amon-Ra makes low recognition and wide receiver lists. They still don't get a lot of love. It's a lot of unprovens. Jamison Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, all the tight ends. It's a lot of unprovens.
It is.
Yep. So we'll see what it leads to. And yet the team gets a ton of love.
It tells you what a really good offensive line and a really good quarterback play can do for an offense. And then you throw in Ben Johnson and how creative and how well he worked with Jared Goff. I mean, you can get away with not having elite position players at those skill positions, all over the field. If you, like I said, really good offensive line, really good quarterback play.
248-539-9797. More of your phone calls and feedback. And another edition of Are You Going to Eat That next hour? Plus hear from Tiger manager A.J. Hinch, the most interesting stuff he told the morning show, 97.1.
Let me try to paint a picture for you. What happened in my backyard on Tuesday night, right? It's 4th of July, kind of winding down a little after 10 o'clock. And I said, I'm going to go venture out on my back patio and have a nice cold beverage. I wasn't reaching for the beer. I wanted to sit back and sip. So I went in to the house and I grabbed the Flying Ace bourbon, poured it over some ice, sat down, had the phone on, playing some tunes, and just listening to the frogs as much as I could because there was lots of fireworks going off. I don't know if you knew this on 4th of July. There were a lot of fireworks. I felt like I was in a war zone a little bit, but what calmed me down was the Flying Ace bourbon. It was delicious. And it's just, you think about this for the summertime, this is a perfect sipper at the end of the night, right? It's not too sweet. It's bourbon, and bourbon is delicious. When you throw it on the ice, it really changes that flavor profile. I want you to try Flying Ace bourbon if you haven't tried it already. It's a versatile spirit. Drink it any way you want. Straight, on the rocks, do shots of it, mix it with ginger ale, whatever you want to do. It's the perfect everyday drinker that's as smooth as it is unpretentious. No gimmicks, just great, approachable American whiskey for the Maverick at heart, and it's only $30 a bottle. It's not going to bust your budget at all. Follow at Flying Ace Spirits on Instagram, and you can stay up to date on their upcoming releases. And as always, please drink responsibly.
Doug Carr, Scott Anderson, 97.1. The Ticket open lines, 248-539-9797. Tigers this afternoon. Trying to salvage a game. This team. Let's get back to your phone calls. We go to Steve here on 97.1. Hi, Steve.
Okay, guys, how you doing?
We're good,
Listen,
thank you.
look at your Philadelphia Eagles, the Dallas Cowboys, the 49ers. You got to have three great wide receivers to win this league. We need D-Hop to help survive this league, to make us take us to the next level. I just wanted to think what you guys' opinion was.
You know, it's funny. We went through an era where you really didn't need an elite wide receiver. Everybody loved to point it out.
Who are the three great receivers in San Francisco?
Well, I can't think of the one, but you got Debo.
That's one.
I can't think of the other. And you got two other kids I can't remember their names. Plus, they've signed.
But they're great.
Ricky Bell this year. But
Ronnie
Lions,
Bell?
why was it? And I can give you Cowboys. I can give you. It's
What about
CeeDee
Michael
Lamb.
Bivens?
Yeah, that's it.
Bivens, yes. Yep.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Right now, if you put St. Brown on one side, you put D-Hop on the other, and when you get Williams back, whatever way you want to put him, it just makes this team that much better.
Yeah, look, I'd like them to get another receiver. It doesn't have to be Hopkins. I mean, Hopkins is going to cost a lot of money. Although if they keep waiting this out, maybe that price just drops. He's going to be on a 1-year prove-it deal, and it could be very much to the Lions' advantage. But what gives the Lions an opportunity is that offensive line, because the offensive line, not only on paper, but actually there in practice, is really good. So they give you time to throw the ball, so it makes your below-average receivers perhaps seem average or above average, and it makes your good receivers seem great, which is what Amon St. Brown kind of is. Now you've got a running game that has home run hitter like Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm excited about what they can do with that offense. And yeah, I still think there's room for another wide receiver, but I don't know, my man had it kind of funky there.
What were the three teams he named?
He said San Francisco, Philadelphia, and Dallas. And Dallas's receiving group is CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, well past his prime, Michael Gallup. It's a good receiving group. There's no question about that.
What if I told you that the Lions average more yards passing than any of those three teams? Any of them. The Lions were 8th in the league in passing yards. Philly was 9th. San Francisco was 14th. Dallas was 15th. Now, I'm not going to argue that the Lions receivers are better, but does it really matter? First of all, we're splitting hairs, really, but the Lions did technically throw for more yards than any of those, and they did it all without Michael Bivens. So, yeah, his point, and I do think you need to have a passing attack. They did it without receivers. It is crazy. I don't know, maybe that means it's not sustainable.
Yeah, I think what makes Philadelphia that team that played in the Super Bowl was that they had a dynamic quarterback and a really good defense.
Mm-hmm.
In addition, look, there's no question A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith are really good receivers.
Gator, I want to follow up on something that I always find fascinating and to talk to you about quite a bit. And I just noticed that the Free Press frequently publishes lottery winners for the previous month.
Okay.
Of $100,000 or more.
All right.
How many people do you think, and this is in any kind of lottery, scratch off all the way up to
I don't know why people want their name out there, but okay.
It's not the name. It's the game they played, how much money they won, where they bought the ticket, and what city it's in.
Okay.
So let me see. And this Powerball, Fantasy 5, jackpot, slots, Emerald Green Wild Time. I don't know what that is. Lucky for Life. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 winners of $100,000 or more in the lottery in the month of June. I mean, that's 12 is a lot of people win $100K or more.
It's a dozen, Doug.
Yes. What game do you think people won the most money on?
I wouldn't even know how to guess because I mean, it's one of these scratch-off games, I guess. I have no idea.
I don't know what any of these are except
I just know Lotto.
Powerball.
Yeah. Mega Millions. And, you know.
Okay,
you said it's 100,000 or more?
Yeah.
I don't even know what the jackpots for like the daily 4 are, Gator, because I feel like those get played consistently by.
But are they?
That's
the
what I'm
daily
saying.
4
I
isn't
don't think
paying
it's,
out $100,000 though.
That's why I don't think it can be
Of
that.
the dozen winners of 100,000 or more, 6 of them came playing this game.
I'm gonna guess with some scratch off.
It could be because I don't know what this game is. I don't ever. But Fantasy 5.
Oh yeah.
Do we know what Fantasy 5? Do you guys know?
I
think I've heard it, but I don't know what it is.
I think that's actually picking numbers. I think it's like a
It's
real
like a
lotto.
Keno
Yeah,
type
something.
thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, let's look it up.
So Fantasy 5.
I've got a different idea for Fantasy 5.
Go ahead, start it. Is it laminated, your list?
On June 13th.
Heavy usage.
Somebody won $353,667 at the Meijer in Ludington playing Fantasy 5.
Nice area.
On June 24th, somebody won $167,337 online playing Fantasy 5 in Portage.
I see a theme here. Portage and Ludington. Okay, is the next one a Meijer in Manistee?
On June 3rd, somebody won $115,000 playing Fantasy 5 at the Family Fair in Wyoming.
I think that's on the west side of the state too, isn't it?
On June 29th, somebody won $110,000 playing Fantasy 5 at the Hollywood Supermarket in Madison Heights.
That's not on the west side.
On June 8th, somebody won $110,000 in the 7-Eleven at Centerline playing Fantasy 5.
Centerline, is it the city within a city?
Yeah.
How about this one? And on June 26th, somebody won $105,000 playing Fantasy 5 at Frenchtown Cheers in Monroe.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what it tells me is don't gamble north of Flint.
Is that the rule?
I mean, it sounds like it, right? All these are, Wyoming is over by Grand Rapids.
Mm-hmm.
Ludington is, along that same plain, but right on the waterfront on the west side of the state. Portage by Kalamazoo on the west side of the state, southwest side of the state. And then you've got Monroe, Madison Heights, and what was the other one? Centerline?
Centerline.
Yeah, those are all.
But the biggest winner in the month of June.
Who's the big winner?
It's somebody who played Lucky for Life at the J&H Family Stores Post Drive in Belmont, won $390,000.
Belmont.
Yep. J&H Family Stores Post Drive.
Do you know where Belmont is?
I don't know what Lucky for Life is. Isn't Belmont north of Grand Rapids but south of Traverse City? Is it?
It is. It's like just north of Grand Rapids and well south of Traverse City. But yes,
I was thinking that stretch in between where I might have seen
quite a stretch.
that road sign. Yeah, I kind of got a big swath of the west side of the state.
I'm guessing Lower Peninsula.
It's off of 131. Just
is it Lucky for Life? Isn't that when you get payments?
I think it sounds like for life.
For life,
or
yeah.
For,
Yeah.
We talked about Lucky for Life, though, for a reason, right? Remember, we had a topic on
I
Lucky
think it's
for Life.
maybe one of those things. Would you rather have like $1 million or $30,000 a year for life or whatever? One of those things, you know?
And Gator went with his Fantasy 5.
Yeah, Anna de Armas and what?
Whoa, hey, move over.
Oh, treading on someone else's
No.
territory?
Scrap it.
Daddy's got this.
Who said it first?
I'm learning Spanish because of her.
See.
Oh.
All right, so there it is. There are the big lottery winners. Powerball. We have 2 Powerball winners. Sorry, 3. Somebody bought one online in Detroit for $200,000 on June 26th. Somebody in Romulus at Romulus Liquor won $150,000 on June 24th.
Anybody in Casanova, Michigan? Anybody?
Nope. Tobacco and Liquor 1 in Saginaw sold a $100,000 Powerball ticket.
Sorry, Casanova. My bad.
Here's one. Emerald Green Wild Time was the game. Somebody won $300,000 on Emerald Green Wild Time at Davis Economy Service in, this says Osseo. O-S-S-E-O.
That's got to be a scratch off.
Emerald Green Wild Time or Osseo? Osseo? Osseo?
Osseo would be my guess. Osseo Township. You don't know where that is?
No. Where is it?
Well, it's by Pittsfield and Hillsdale. Between Pittsfield and Hillsdale.
Okay. Well,
Why don't you know that?
I'm embarrassed. All right, another edition. Are you going to eat that coming up next hour? Plus, the best of AJ Hinch, what he told the morning show, including what he has to say that those are called Torque and Bust. Out at 12:30, 97.1. Doug Karsh, Scott Anderson, 97.1 The Ticket. Open lines, 248-539-9797. Good to be with you here on a Thursday in Detroit. Tiger afternoon baseball, as they are back to hanging on to the threads of irrelevance.
Threads of irrelevance. I like it.
They are 6.5 out. They have dropped 2 to the worst team in baseball. It just figures. I mean, I did Wednesday's show. I'm like, all right, you go sweep somebody, and apparently the A's were listening.
Well, they can avoid that sweep this afternoon, Doug.
Yes, they can.
They can, and then they've got the weekend series against the Blue Jays. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As we mentioned, getting guys back. Faedo's back tomorrow. I don't know how much of a lift he's going to be. I kind of feel like this is Faedo's last stand.
Do you?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if there's something there or not. See how he does for the rest of the season. Akil Baddoo coming back probably tomorrow night. Riley Green will be back more than likely for the weekend at some point, Friday or Saturday night. See how he does tonight when he gets to run around the outfield in Toledo. But they're getting a couple of bats back that are better than the bats that have been in the lineup, right? Yep. Riley Green was outstanding, and then he got hurt. So that's a huge lift to get him back at some point. And he went 5 for 5 last night in Toledo and hit the ball. He hit it hard, Doug, real hard.
Yep.
So that's nice to get that bat back because they need bats back in this lineup desperately. It would be nice if Torkelson could follow up with the sharp hit he had last night. Call it a triple, I guess. I mean, it's a base hit that went under the glove of the center fielder, rolled to the wall, and he turned it into a triple. But when you're Torque and you're fighting through it, and you were 0 for against Oakland this year until that hit, you'll take it. And he needs more confidence. So he had a great week, and then is followed up with a week of Mung. So they need some bats to show up.
They sure as hell do. They sure as hell do. Because they assume the form of an average baseball team, which is nothing to get particularly excited about unless you're in the American League Central in the year 2023 AD. Then you can get at least remotely excited about it. And then they revert to a form of one of the more pathetic offensive teams you've ever seen. Nothing is permanent, though. Like as bad as they have looked, they've done this before this year, and then they'll bounce back and they'll scratch and claw, and it'll feel like they'll do a lot of work, and they'll get back to the point where people are paying attention to the outcomes of games. Because I think there's a real want. I think Detroit wants to latch onto this team, but there's a justifiable distrust in any successes that they have. So,
well, there are 3 names I feel like Tiger fans want to see. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Being obviously Colt Keith, Justin Henry Malloy, and to an extent, I think people want to see Parker Meadows. Not likely to happen in the next couple weeks here, but could it happen in the second half of the season when people are completely tuning out on this team if they continue to flounder and be 10, 15 games below 500 if they're in that level? As a Tiger fan, I want to see the next guys, and everybody wants to see the next guys if they're deserving of being brought up. Those 3 guys are hitting the ball pretty well now with AAA, and somebody deserves a promotion at some point. Now, I understand A.J. Hinch is going to be reluctant to talk about it at this point because they're still trying to get something out of these guys, but the fact that they sent down Nick Maton tells me that the second half of the season is where you get to that point. Yeah. When you've got guys that aren't going to be around here for next year. Jonathan Scope won't be here next year. Will there be any attrition at all in the system when you come to the trade deadline? I'm not sure. But there are some players that fans can get maybe more than a little excited about because Colt Keith has killed it in both levels this year at AA and AAA. And they've got another guy at AA who's killed the ball since he got called up as well. And it's just a name I want to bring up.
Okay. This is vintage Gator. You've done this for 17 years.
Yeah. Well, here's the next one, right? Because Colt Keith, feel like that's happening. This is a player they drafted in the 2021 draft out of Western Carolina. Justice Bigby. All right. Man. He's played corner infield. He's also played in the outfield. He's 6'2", right-handed hitter. And at single A this year when he was at West Michigan, a high A ball. He only played 37 games, but deserved the promotion because he was hitting .333 with a .944 OPS.
Mm-hmm.
He got promoted to AA. And when he got to AA, wasn't long after that point that they moved Colt Keith up to AAA. He's played 19 games at AA. He's hitting .371 with a .1036 OPS in AA. He's 24 years old. This is the kind of guy that you're going to move up through the minors quickly because of his age. And, you know, when one of these guys gets promoted from AAA, is this the next guy who moves up from AA to AAA? It's just another bat because I'm desperate to find a bat to help this team out. He handled single-A pitching. He's handling AA pitching. Can he handle AAA pitching? And everybody says there's such a massive gap, more than ever now, between what's at the AAA level and what's at the major league level, and I don't disagree with that. But as Tiger fans, we want some other people to root for. Bats in the lineup that can drive guys home. And that's another one.
Okay, I'm just working on something here. Somebody tweeted out a graphic. Oh, the other big story today, news-wise, is that Philip Zadina is asked to be released. He's basically asked the Red Wings to fire him.
He's already placed on waivers.
And nobody claimed him, which means they would have had to claim the contract. Now he's asked to be placed on waivers again for his unconditional release, which basically says terminate the 2 years and $4.56 million you owe me, which means they will – he's been waived, and he'll be signed for $775,000, a league minimum. And teams, I guess, are asking – or inquiring now because he's now officially a free agent. So Will Brinson at CBS Sports just put this out, Gator, this morning. NFL quarterback rankings by tier. Okay, so your tier one. Tier one is your big guns.
Your elites.
Yep. Tier 2 is the could join them next year group.
Mm-hmm.
Tier 3 is intrigue with question marks. Tier 4 is you can win with them. Tier 5 is future potential can win with them guys. Tier 6 is no clue, man. And Tier 7 is the rookies. So again, Tier 1 is the elites. Do you think our guy belongs there?
No.
Tier 1 is...
How many quarterbacks are in Tier 1?
3.
Okay, so you got Mahomes.
Yep.
I'm guessing Joe Burrow.
Yep.
Josh Allen?
Correct.
Okay.
Tier 2 could join them next year. Do you think our guy's in that group?
I don't think he's in that next group.
The next group has 4 guys.
That second group has 4 guys?
Yep.
Okay. Justin Herbert?
Yep.
Is Aaron Rodgers in that next group?
Nope.
Good.
That's a way to be wrong, but sound like you're right.
Yeah. Jalen Hurts?
Correct.
Trevor no, not Trevor Lawrence. Not there yet.
Yes, he is.
Is he?
Yep.
That's a little early.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And who's the 4th?
Lamar Jackson.
Okay.
Tier 3 quarterbacks. 7 names. Is our guy in it?
He should be.
Here are the 7 names. Aaron Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew Stafford.
Mm-hmm.
Tua Tagovailoa.
Yep.
Justin Fields. Daniel Jones. Deshaun Watson. Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Tier 4.
All right.
Do you think our guy is in Tier 4?
Well, he should have been in Tier 3, so needless to say, I would expect him to be in Tier 4 if he wasn't in Tier 3.
Jimmy Garoppolo, Derek Carr, Ryan Tannehill, Kirk Cousins, Geno Smith, Dak Prescott, Jared Goff. I mean,
there's no respect for Jared Goff.
There's no respect.
I mean, honestly, and it's. I hope he sees this. I really do.
I do too.
Because I think Jared Goff is a guy that is fueled off of things like this. Just fuel up that chip on the shoulder.
Dude, he's ranking him behind Daniel Jones.
It's ridiculous that he's ranked behind Daniel Jones. Who else is in that 3rd tier?
Tua. Why?
Well, Tua had
Why?
Because Tua had a good year. I know you don't like him, but he did.
Justin Fields. Tons of potential.
There's potential, but I mean, right now, who would you rather have? Who do you think the Bears would rather have right now running that offense?
If they had to win a game, one game,
it's Jared Goff.
I mean,
Who
I
else
can
was in
see
that group?
Rodgers, Stafford.
Well, but Stafford. I mean, Stafford's
Stafford
dropped.
at this point in Stafford's career, honestly,
I'll take Goff over Stafford at
but
this
I
point.
have a stronger sense that Goff's going to play closer to 17 games than Matthew Stafford. Stafford's beat up, man.
Stafford's had a great career. And
Yes.
he's well on the downside.
But you're talking
so is
about
Aaron Rodgers, by the way.
And the names Deshaun Watson and Russell Wilson. I mean, at one point, clearly they would have been considered better than Jared Goff.
Yeah,
but
then last year happened for Russell Wilson. He looked awful, looked completely lost. How are you gonna recoup that because you got a new coach? We'll see.
I mean,
and Deshaun Watson, I still think Deshaun Watson's an amazing talent. And
Look,
they've got talent to work with in Cleveland, so we'll see what happens now that he's got a full year under his belt.
one person says this about Jared Goff, and I shouldn't get upset. And I sound like I'm getting upset. I should absolutely not get upset. But for F's sake, Daniel Jones? Let's have a quarterback draft right now and see how many GMs take Daniel Jones ahead of Jared Goff.
Daniel Jones can make some plays with his feet.
Yep.
But he can also make some mistakes. Last year, he didn't make make nearly as many mistakes as he typically has in his career, and that's been the big problem with Daniel Jones. He's been a turnover machine. He had been Jekyll and Hyde versus home versus away with his splits. Last year was a good year for Daniel Jones, but wasn't as good as Jared Goff.
No. And again, we said, who did Goff do this with?
I don't understand
Give me the Lions' elite weapons last year.
I'm telling you, man, this is the bias that comes from people that worship at the feet of Sean
McVay.
Sean McVay.
Yeah, you might be right.
You know, he gets scapegoated for all the problems with the Rams. They trade for Matthew Stafford. They win the Super Bowl, and everybody's like, "See, you're right. You're right, Sean. It was all Jared Goff. He was terrible." And then, Jared Goff has fought his way back, working with a coordinator and a team and coaching staff that believes in him. And now Jared Goff is back to being what he was when he took the Rams to the Super Bowl.
It's Carson Anderson, 97.1 the ticket.
Well, that's fun. You know what else is fun? Home ownership. Yeah. If it's not one thing, it's another. Something's always going wrong, right? And that's why you need to add Birmingham Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling to your speed dial this summer. The AC goes out, boiler, or anything to do with water getting in or out of your home, you guessed it, the call to make, Birmingham Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. They offer full 10-year parts and 5-year labor warranties with annual maintenance, as well as financing options that aren't going to break the bank. Plus, you can get $200 off furnace and air equipment when you mention me, Gator. So please visit BirminghamPlumbingCo.com. That's BirminghamPlumbingCo.com. Birmingham Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, your Metro Detroit boiler experts.
Gator, I just want to say happy birthday to Fred Dreyer. Do you remember Fred Dreyer?
Hell yes, I remember Fred Dreyer. He was a defensive end for the Rams in like the 70s. He wore number 89.
Mm-hmm.
And more importantly, the title character on the TV show Hunter in the 1980s.
So you know what he did that no player has done in the history of the NFL, according to old-time football?
I do.
You do?
Yes.
Gang, do you know what Fred Dreyer did?
Invented the dryer? I have no idea.
No. Solid guess.
2 safeties in the same game.
He had 2 against the Packers, 2 sacks in the end zone for 2 safeties. So there's that.
Did you ever watch Hunter, TV show?
Nope.
No?
No, I didn't. Sorry. And I think this is hilarious. Do you know what's trending on the top 5 things trending on Twitter in the United States right now?
Zadina?
No.
Well, that's what's on mine.
Threads. Threads is Instagram's Twitter-like forum. Like they have created something.
The metaverse has done this.
Yeah, to challenge Twitter, and it's trending on Twitter. It actually seems like a solid move, by the way.
Well,
given the problems Twitter's had.
Yeah, well, Twitter's creating their own problems. They can correct real quickly. And hopefully this...
They don't seem to be correcting a lot of problems these days. They seem to be creating more.
I don't have much of an issue with anything that's going on with Twitter yet. But it could come down to pike for us with restrictions. They could limit they could get rid of these restrictions, which is the problem now. Everybody flipped out about you can only view a certain number of tweets or something like that per day. I'm not sure how many people that actually affects. We haven't been restricted yet, and the two of us use the same account, and I think the two of us use Twitter quite a bit. So I don't know if that...
If it weren't for work, I'd never be on Twitter.
I can understand that.
Darren Ravel, though, tweeted out the following.
Mm-hmm.
Time it took to reach 10 million users. Facebook, 852 days. Twitter, 780 days. Instagram, 355 days. Clubhouse, 347 days. ChatGPT, 40 days. Google Plus, 16 days. Threads, 7 hours.
Yeah.
Wow. The funny part is, too, everyone's announcing it on Twitter. They're going to Threads.
That to me,
that's hilarious.
That's what's funny to me. Well, nobody's giving up their Twitter account.
No, they're just...
But they're saying, and just in case Twitter goes haywire, we're opening up our Threads account.
Yep.
Yeah, some might be giving up Twitter, but not as of right now. That's, hey, I have both accounts, right? Why not open up Threads while I'm here and let everybody know your competition is just announcing on your own platform? That's pretty funny.
All right, are you ready for another edition? Are you going to eat that?
Yes.
Let's do it. All right, my friend. People at the Tiger game on July 4th perhaps saw this. A condiment that was only available in a few MLB stadiums. Did you see this?
I don't know if I saw it. I mean, I have an idea of what it could be.
According to WDIV, Channel 4 in Detroit, a condiment called Pepsi Colo Chop.
I did hear this. It's a combination of Pepsi and ketchup.
It's available for samplings. Section 139 was for the Tigers-A's game on July 4th. Tigers one of 4 teams featuring the condiment at their stadium. The distinct flavors and vibrant citrus blend of Pepsi enhances the bright and tangy characteristics of ketchup, offsetting the smokiness of the hot dog. Gator, Pepsi Cola Chop. Would you eat that?
I would. I'd actually very much like to try this.
Yeah.
Cola is an item that people are putting in like barbecue sauces and glazes and stuff like that. And you hear about Dr. Pepper ribs and stuff like that. So could I see Pepsi enhancing the flavor of ketchup and being something a little different? Yeah, I'd try it. I think it sounds pretty cool. I don't know how good it is, but I'm willing to try it. Can you down with Pepsi ketchup?
I'd try it, but I think it sounds disgusting.
Oh.
But I'd try it. Is this carbonated ketchup or is this flat Pepsi? Like, what's this work?
I think it's a cola syrup that goes in with the ketchup that just gives it a little bit different flavor. I mean, like I said,
Do you expect carbonated? Like, do you expect to be able? Yeah, okay.
No,
then
it's
I think
not
it's
like-
flat ketchup then, or whatever. I don't know.
it's
I'll try
cola
it.
flavor without carbon, and there's no carbonation. It's cola flavor mixed in with your ketchup. It's like I said, like having a barbecue sauce that has Dr. Pepper in it, right? You've heard about that, or
Yes,
Coca-Cola,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
That stuff.
Yeah.
In with a barbecue sauce. It's the same thing. Ketchup is a big staple of the barbecue sauce, so sounds like it'd be good. You want to try it, Doug?
Nope.
Why not?
Doug doesn't try
Sounds
regular
disgusting.
pop, let
I think
alone.
it sounds awful. Do they have diet?
Yeah, what if it
Pepsi.
was it like Pepsi Zero ketchup?
Pepsi
Would
Zero
you try that?
Cola Chup? No, I wouldn't. I think the idea of tomato-based Pepsi sounds awful.
It's not a drink. It's a condiment.
I know.
It's something you put on.
Hey, I don't want to try it. Sue me.
I want to sue you. I think you're misunderstanding this.
I know what a condiment is, Gator.
I know you've been married for a while. I'm not sure.
All right, next up, Shake Shack has got a bourbon bacon jam burger. 100% Angus beef, that is, topped with crispy onions, cheese, shack sauce, and a bourbon bacon jam made with Maker's Mark bourbon. Gator, I know you don't like too much bacon. You like bacon as bacon alone.
Correct.
But would you try the Shake Shack bourbon bacon jam burger?
Yeah, because bacon jam is different. It's also a condiment that you can put on the burger.
What's that?
So I'd try this. I mean, like you mentioned, I'm not a big put bacon on everything, but bacon jam is different.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd definitely try this. Love burgers. Love a lot of different kind of burgers. So I'm on board.
Plus a little bourbon flavor to it. Yeah.
Next up, new from Michelob.
Oh.
Michelob has created the Ultra Infusions Lime and Prickly Pear Cactus beer. It's an exotic fruity aroma with a clean citrus finish. Gator, the Michelob Ultra Infusion Lime and Prickly Pear Cactus. Would you try that?
I would. I'll try most beers. And yeah, I mean, just lime with prickly pear cactus. I don't think I'd like it, but I'll try it. I'll definitely try it.
There's a good chance I will try this before the Tiger game is over today.
Wow.
I think this sounds great. Actually, that's not completely true. I will try it. I could try it today.
Why, is cactus good for you or something?
Yeah, I think so.
That's why Doug would try it.
No, I think
I
it
would
sounds
try
great.
it. It sounds gross, though. I don't know if I'd
Sounds like
this.
a great summer beer to me.
I mean, it could be, but, I really enjoy Michelob Light.
Next up, Sheetz gas stations. You heard of Sheetz?
I have not.
Okay, SHEETZ. It's a gas station chain mostly on the kind of mid-Atlantic area. They have been named for having the best gas station hot dog in America.
Oh.
Sheetz makes made-to-order hot dogs starting at 99 cents, but they also offer more upgrades than most convenience stores, including a pretzel bun, 6 kinds of cheese.
Oh, tell me more.
Including nacho, 14 different spreads like Dr. Pepper barbecue, and 19 different toppings from caramelized onions to guacamole. Gator, a gas station hot dog dressed up like this. Are you going to eat that?
I mean, 100% yes. Are you kidding me? You see what I brought in for breakfast sometimes from a gas station. You don't think I'd go for actually places known for hot dogs and gourmet dogs at that? I want to make a reservation and go to the place like
this might as well be the Ocean Prime of gas
you're
stations.
right.
I mean, Gator brings in whatever from a gas station. This, we're talking the creme de la creme over here, Chef's Kiss.
I'm bringing in these tornado taquitos they got over at the mobile station, and now you're offering me up like this awesome hot dog made to order that hasn't been sitting out on its spinners for the last 7 hours. And you have the gall to ask me if I would try this? Of course.
Kang?
Yeah, I'm trying this. Like
We're
Gator
just become best friends.
He's gonna drive to Virginia just to get this.
Up and down the Mid-Atlantic. Let's make a trip.
He gets frozen taquitos from Bob at Shell. Okay, it might as well be Gordon Ramsay at on the Las Vegas Strip.
Exactly.
Well, there you go. Another edition.
Everything comes back to Vegas for you.
I know.
Another edition of Are You Going to Eat That? Straight ahead.
Would you?
No. AJ
What are they,
Hinch.
gourmet
I haven't
turkey
had any
dogs?
pre-made food at a gas station.
This
ever in my
isn't
entire life.
pre-made. This is made
Nothing.
to order.
I've never gotten a meal of any kind out of a gas station.
Like not even the sandwiches, turkey deli sandwich or anything like that?
Never
Have
once.
What's the closest? Like a banana or something?
I mean, I got to tell you, there's nothing that says to me food poisoning as much as egg salad sandwich from a gas station.
I mean, they take chances.
AJ
Calculated
Hinch,
risks.
how do you respond when people call Torque a bust? We will get to that at 12:32. 97.1 The Ticket. By the way, in the last week, believe it or not, thank you to, I got to see who set this link here on the Twitch feed, Nayrock. Send us a link, Gator. A Sheetz is opening in Romulus. Sheetz, around-the-clock regional convenience store and gas station chain with a name that can raise eyebrows. Confirmed plans Wednesday to open its first store in the state in Romulus, about 4 miles from Metro Airport.
Ooh.
So Sheetz, Sheetz. So you can get your gas station dog. It plans to open in 2025. Or you can just drive to Virginia, man, if you really want to try one of these gas station dogs.
You're not down on gas station food, huh?
No.
So what about, like, there's a place in Berkeley, I believe it's at 12 Mile and Coolidge, a gas station there that serves Middle Eastern food.
Mm-hmm.
And it's outstanding. It's great takeout Middle Eastern food. And they've had this reputation for 15 years, at least, of having this great Middle Eastern food. Would you?
That might be something I'd try. There's, like, you get into the weird, people, you walk into a gas station and they've got like this opening and there's a Subway on the other side. People are asking if I ever gotten a Subway in. Yes, I have done that. But in a gas station
Like the
proper,
actual, yeah.
where there's a taquito or a hot dog spinning or a piece of pizza that's been under the heat lamp since Thursday.
Yeah, those are
like those are the ones that I tend to stay away from.
Well, you got to kiss a few frogs.
Some become princes, my
I
friend.
mean, honestly, my favorite line of
Risk
that
reward.
that whole last segment was Gator said, "Hey, you take some risks."
Yeah.
This is one where, Doug, you always bring this up where if you pass away and you get to see God and maybe ask him what's the grossest thing you ever ate.
Yeah.
And he goes, remember that taquito at the gas station?
Yeah.
Gator.
Well,
I remember it well.
That was a Saturday Night Live bit where the guy, his angel, was there, and he said, "What's the grossest thing I ever ate?" And the angel said, "You don't want to know." And he goes, "All right, what's the 100th grossest thing I ever made?" And he goes, "Well, during a Super Bowl, you ate a family full of earwigs and some butterscotch pudding." And he said, "I didn't notice." He goes, "No, it was the third quarter." Like you were so into the game. I thought that was hilarious. And I kind of live my life with that as a guiding principle. All right. AJ Hinch on the morning show today. Some interesting things. We'll start with fans losing hope. How, you come home from this road trip, people are fired up, you got good crowds, Oakland's in town, time to make up some ground, and you drop the first two games in a real, what felt like a hopeless fashion. And here's what the manager had to say about fans losing hope. So that's the manager. I mean, I respect the way he approaches that question. Like they don't have time for that. They can't afford to do that. They got to show up and they got to do the job the next day. But he's not mad at the fans and some booed last night.
Yeah, and it was noticeable last night, particularly with Torkelson.
Mm-hmm.
Noticed that, and it was a little uncomfortable.
Well, let's get to Tork, because on the road trip, he had a 5-game hitting streak, a modest hitting streak, but he also, during that 5-game hitting streak, hit 4 home runs and a double and brought his batting average up 10 points. He comes home and he goes 0 for 5 on Tuesday, and he goes 1 for 4 yesterday. He did at least triple in his last at bat, which was basically a single that the outfielder misplayed. The Tork is a bust calls pretty much come in every time he has an 0 for night. And when you go 1-1, expectations are high. Here's what he has to say to fans about that have impatience with Torkelson. Gator, look, the dude is what he is. He's probably going to get past 20 home runs this year.
Mm-hmm. I hope so.
It'd be nice to just see him start to hit for more average. But he's starting to show the power stroke, so there's that step in the right direction. And, I think patience, we have no other choice but to be patient. It's not like he's going anywhere. So, like you said, keep sending him out there.
Yeah, of course. It's tough to see that when they're struggling, but is he struggling any more than anybody else on this team right now?
No. He's not blocking anybody.
He's
either.
not. I mean, well, he's at a position where you could throw anybody at first base, pretty much, right?
Yeah.
But he plays it defensively very, very well. He's still got an over 700 OPS right now, which isn't anything to write home about. It's below the league average at 709, but it's gotten better. And he's a better player this year than what he was last year. Let it play out. Let this whole season play out and see where you're at the end of the season, because it's a pretty big difference between last year and this year at this point. But it's nowhere near what you're expecting from somebody who's drafted 1-1.
Yep. So the Birchie kid just tweeted out the following. Torkelson threw 80 games last season prior to demotion. 296 slugging, 577 OPS, 5 home runs, 21 RBIs. 296 slugging. Torkelson threw 83 games this season. He went from 296 slugging to 402. His OPS, it went from 577 to 709. His home runs went from 5 to 12, and his RBIs 21 to 42.
There you go.
So that might make people feel better. So we'll see. Tigers need to at least get a win today. Come on, please get a win today. FFS, get a win today.
What?
Tiger Baseball is coming up next. Thanks for listening. Stay safe, everybody, and treat each other with respect. 97.1 The Ticket.